Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles. Chapter 2688. The atmosphere here was also a little different. Wang Ming also realized that he had let the cat out of the bag, and he couldn't help glancing at Yi Zhong uneasily. Would Yi Zhong notice? Would the young lord blame him? Crack. But suddenly, there was the sound of something shattering. Startled, the six of them hurriedly looked up. They had thought that the light curtain had shattered, but when they looked, their expressions changed abruptly. It wasn't the light curtain that had shattered. It was Madman's blood demon realm. Why had they been able to hold on until now? It was because of Madman's blood demon realm. The blood devil domain could suppress the cultivation of the blood puppets. This played a very crucial role for them. They had been able to kill the blood puppets so easily because of the suppression of the blood demon realm. And once the blood demon realm shattered, the blood puppets would be able to unleash their peak strength, especially the blood demon puppets. Without the suppression of the blood demon realm, it would be a disaster for them. I've already tried my best. Madman shook his head. He couldn't stop the blood demon realm from shattering. Because the divine power in his body was about to run out. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and smiled. Then I'll do it. In any case, Wang Ming had already exposed his identity. Although Yi Zhong hadn't asked yet, he was definitely already suspicious. When the time came, Yi Zhong would definitely ask. And he couldn't find an excuse to dodge this question at all. Because Yi Zhong was a very smart old man to begin with. Not to mention such an obvious exposure, even the slightest clue couldn't be hidden from him. Then hurry up. The divine power barrier that isolates the evil power can't hold on for much longer. Madman said. Qin Feiyang nodded and looked at Yi Zhong and the other three. He shouted, activate your strongest divine arts right now. Okay. Wang Ming, Yang Li, and Beast Emperor were overjoyed. Heaven Vanquishing Sword Array, Hidden Dragon Killing Array, Qilin Book, the three most powerful deity arts instantly appeared out of nowhere. But Yi Zhong didn't move. He looked at Qin Feiyang, his old eyes shining brightly as if he wanted to see through Qin Feiyang. After we escape, I'll tell you everything you want to know. Qin Feiyang looked at Yi Zhong and said. Yi Zhong let out a long breath. With a wave of his hand, the deity formula, Fury of the Fire God, appeared. 3,000 clones, open. Qin Feiyang let out a low roar, and 3,000 incarnations instantly appeared behind him. It's this kind of divine art. Wang Ming and Yang Li were wild with joy. Once the 3,000 clones were unleashed, they would definitely be able to shatter the light barrier. Everyone, whether or not we can escape depends on now. Give me 100% of your strength. Activate your fighting spirit. Qin Feiyang shouted. Ding! With a loud and clear dragon roar, the dragon soul roared out. The 3,000 incarnations also activated their fighting souls. In addition to Qin Feiyang's true body, that was a total of 3,001 dragon souls, their draconic might surging in all directions. Eye of Heaven, open. Following closely. Qin Feiyang and the 3,000 incarnations roared at the same time, and a crack immediately appeared between the eyebrows of all the dragon souls. Eye of Heaven, appear. An obscure aura, as if covering the sky and earth, pounced towards the deity formula of Yi Zhong and the other three. In the next moment. Then, a shocking scene unfolded. 3,001 heaven-destroying sword formation, 3,001 dragon subduing killing formation, 3,001 fury of the fire god, and 3,001 Qilin book, a total of 10,000 deity formulas. What kind of scene was this? This valley could no longer hold them all, and they were densely packed. Just the aura emitted by these deity formulas caused the light screen above to distort and deform. Moreover, the valley, which could be called an iron wall, was also trembling violently. There were even some places that were already cracking and collapsing. Eye of Heaven, the heaven-defying fighting spirit that is being transmitted. The mysterious blood shadow hidden in the dark was also extremely shocked at this moment. Deep in his heart, there was an uncontrollable fear that emerged uncontrollably. Kill! Qin Feiyang roared angrily. With a wave of his hand, a sky full of deity formulas instantly charged towards the light screen majestically. All the blood puppets were unable to resist at all, and were crushed into ashes one after another. Crack! Before they even got close, cracks appeared on the light screen. The surrounding mountain peaks were also fragmented and collapsed on a large scale. Amazing! Wang Ming and Yang Li couldn't help looking at Qin Feiyang in admiration. This young lord was probably the only person in the world who could do this. Boom! Crack! When the divine arts that filled the sky arrived, the originally indestructible light was like a piece of rotten wood that could not withstand a single blow and was instantly shattered. At this moment, the valley was also completely destroyed with a deafening sound. He did it. Even Yi Zhong was overjoyed at this scene, let alone Beast Emperor and Wang Ming. However, there wasn't the slightest bit of joy on Qin Feiyang's face, and he looked extremely cold. I'd like to see what kind of divine being you are. As soon as these words were spoken, the densely packed deity seals instantly transformed into a raging tide that blasted out in all directions. Immediately, giant mountains collapsed and the ground sank as if doomsday had arrived. Even the evil power in the surroundings was dissipating at this moment. But the mysterious blood shadow didn't react at all. Wait! Suddenly, this looks like an evil sun and an evil moon. That's right. It's an evil sun and an evil moon. Qin Feiyang nodded. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang looked up at the top floor of the Blood Pagoda with a blank expression. There were 9 floors in the Blood Pagoda. There were many blood demon statues carved on the bottom 8 floors. But there was only one blood demon statue on the top floor. The blood demon was a middle-aged man. He wore blood-red armor and held a blood-red halberd in his hand. From below, that blood demon looked like an overlord of heaven and earth. The sky piercer in his hand pointed to the sky and his eyes looked askance at the heavens, exuding the domineering aura of a king. There seemed to be a faint trace of unyieldingness. Madman looked at Qin Feiyang and also looked up. When he saw the statue, his gaze was instantly glued to it and he couldn't look away. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang noticed Madman's abnormality and asked suspiciously. So familiar, Madman mumbled. Familiar? Qin Feiyang was blank. Yes. I think I've seen it somewhere before. Madman nodded. Impossible. Qin Feiyang frowned. This was Madman's first time in hell and the first time he saw the Blood Pagoda. How could he have seen it before? Whoosh! Suddenly, Beast Emperor took a step forward and landed in front of the stone door. What are you doing? Don't be rash. Alarmed, Qin Feiyang hurriedly shouted. But Beast Emperor turned a deaf ear and murmured, there must be a supreme treasure in this Blood Pagoda. As he spoke, he raised his arm and slammed his palm against the tightly shut stone door. Boom! Not only did the stone door fail to open, but the Beast Emperor was also forced to retreat. Poof! When he steadied himself, he immediately spat out a mouthful of blood and his face was deathly pale. What's going on? Qin Feiyang and the others looked at Beast Emperor in bewilderment. This stone door can reflect my power back to me. Beast Emperor murmured and stared at the stone door in disbelief. Reflect it? Everyone was stunned. Wang Ming and Yang Li immediately stepped forward to give it a try. The result was the same as Beast Emperor. Moreover, the more strength they used, the greater the rebound force of the stone door. It seems that even if we're here, we can't go in. Beast Emperor was indignant. It wasn't easy to get here, but they were blocked outside the door. I'll give it a try. Suddenly, A lazy voice came from behind them. Young man. Startled, Qin Feiyang and the others hurriedly turned their heads and saw the young man walking out of the blood mist. The snow python was still lying on the young man's shoulder as usual. It seemed to be affected by the young man and looked sleepy and weak. Chapter 2689. When did you get here? Yi Zhong raised his eyebrows. I've been here the entire time. The young man yawned. The entire time. Qin Feiyang and Madman looked at each other and couldn't help frowning. Beast Emperor said in a low voice, so, you knew that we were trapped in the valley? The young man glanced at Beast Emperor and said indifferently, I'm not deaf. Of course I knew when there was such a big commotion. Then why did you? Beast Emperor said angrily. The young man said, are you going to ask why I didn't help? Beast Emperor nodded. What a stupid question. I'm not related to you in any way, why should I help you? The young man gave Beast Emperor a disdainful look and walked straight to the stone door. Beast Emperor stared at the young man's back, seemingly angry from embarrassment. Qin Feiyang suddenly opened his mouth and asked, did that mysterious blood shadow come looking for you? No. The young man shook his head. No. Qin Feiyang was stunned. How could this be? They were both intruders, so why did the mysterious blood shadow ignore the young man? Was it because the young man was so strong that the mysterious blood shadow didn't dare to provoke him? Or, was the mysterious blood shadow coming for someone? If it was the former, it would make sense. After all, the young man was indeed very strong, provoking him was tantamount to provoking a death god. But if it was the latter, this was worth thinking about. They were here for a certain person, then who could it be? Yi Zhong. Beast Emperor. Wang Ming and Madman. Or Madman. Or was it him? No. Qin Feiyang decisively rejected this last thought, because he had nothing to do with the Nether King's hell. There was no reason for the mysterious blood shadow to look for trouble with him. This was also the first time Wang Ming and Madman had entered the Nether King's hell, so the possibility wasn't high. Yi Zhong and Beast Emperor, needless to say, the possibility of it being them was quite high. Because this wasn't the first time they had entered the Nether King's hell, and this wasn't Fallen Valley's first time either. As for Madman, this was also his first time in the Nether King's hell, so the possibility wasn't high. Wait. Madman could absorb the power of evil. And there was something in Fallen Valley that was calling out to him. Could this be? Qin Feiyang pondered and felt that the madman was the most likely. However, this was only his personal guess, and he couldn't jump to a conclusion. While Qin Feiyang was deep in thought, the young man had already arrived in front of the blood tower. After glancing at the stone door, the young man raised his arm and pressed it against the stone door. Boom! Following closely. With a slight shake of his arm, a terrifying force poured out and blasted towards the stone door. Immediately. The young man felt that the power he sent out was reflected back at him. Humph. The young man snorted coldly and forcibly neutralized the rebounding force without taking a single step back. Qin Feiyang and the mad scientist looked at each other. Surprisingly, they weren't pushed back. The young man was indeed powerful. Boom! Immediately after. The young man retracted his arm, and a terrifying power roared out, and he fiercely punched the stone door. With a loud bang, the power bounced back. Puff! Even with the young man's strength, he could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood as his body was sent flying. This, Qin Feiyang and the mad scientist frowned again. Even the young man couldn't blast open the stone door. The Beast Emperor gloated over the young man's misfortune. Wasn't he very strong? But he was still blocked outside the stone door. After the young man steadied himself, he looked at the stone door again. His eyes didn't seem as lazy as before, and they shone brightly. Shall we all try? Perhaps we are fated with this blood tower and can open it. Wang Ming suggested. Everyone thought for a while, then nodded in agreement. Yi Zhong, Qin Feiyang, the mad scientist, the three of you go and try. The Beast Emperor said. Because they were the only ones who hadn't tried yet. Qin Feiyang. Hearing the Beast Emperor personally call out Qin Feiyang's name, Yi Zhong immediately turned his head and stared at Qin Feiyang. Can we talk about Qin Feiyang after we open the blood tower? The Beast Emperor frowned. Yi Zhong glanced at the Beast Emperor, then strode to the stone door, raised his arm, and struck it with all his strength. Boom! Without any suspense, Yi Zhong was sent flying on the spot. Qin Feiyang stepped forward to support Yi Zhong. Get lost! Yi Zhong waved his hand and pushed Qin Feiyang away, his eyes full of anger. He had never thought that the disciple he valued so much, the only disciple he would accept in his life, would actually be Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang shook his head bitterly. He also walked to the stone door and pushed it gently. Even if it was just a light push, the stone door would bounce back. Obviously, he couldn't do it either. Everyone looked at the mad scientist. If you can't do it, how can I? The mad scientist shook his head and smiled bitterly. We can't, but maybe you can open it. After all, it has been calling you, so it might have something to do with you. Qin Feiyang said. What did you say? The blood tower is summoning the mad scientist. The Beast Emperor was surprised. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. How is this possible? Not only the Beast Emperor, but even Yi Zhong looked at the mad scientist in disbelief. Even the young man cast a strange look at the mad scientist. The mad scientist looked at everyone and raised his head to look at the stone door. In the end, he took a step forward and walked to the stone door, muttering, since it is summoning me, then don't play these useless games with me. After saying that, the mad scientist raised his arm and slammed it at the stone door. Accompanied by a loud bang, a scene suddenly appeared in the mad scientist's mind. A 30,000-meter-tall giant and a 30,000-meter-tall divine dragon were engaged in a wild battle. The entire sky was filled with a destructive aura. The mad scientist's eyes trembled. This was exactly the same as the scene that appeared in his mind when he entered the moon of evil and touched the blood bead. Who are you? The mad scientist looked at the giant and dragon's faces. But, the giant and dragon seemed to be wearing a layer of veil. No matter how hard the mad scientist tried, he couldn't see their true faces. At the same time, Qin Feiyang and the group all looked at the mad scientist in shock. Although they didn't see the scene that appeared in the mad scientist's mind, they saw with their own eyes that the mad scientist wasn't sent flying by the stone door. His fist was still on the stone door. Can he really do it? Everyone's heart was suddenly filled with expectations. However, the next moment, the mad scientist suddenly retracted his fist, hugged his head, squatted on the ground, and screamed. It seemed like he was in extreme pain. What's the situation? This sudden scene made Qin Feiyang and the others fall into a state of shock. When they recovered, Qin Feiyang immediately ran up. When he saw the mad scientist's distorted face, his eyes suddenly trembled. Who here knew the mad scientist better than him? Whether it was his temperament or willpower, they were both beyond ordinary people. If he hadn't encountered something particularly painful, he wouldn't have shown such a miserable side. And Qin Feiyang also saw that the mad scientist's forehead was dripping with bean-sized beads of sweat. What on earth had the mad scientist experienced just now? Are you okay? Qin Feiyang squatted in front of the mad scientist, reached out and patted his shoulder, his face full of worry. However, with Qin Feiyang's pat, the mad scientist seemed to be greatly frightened, and slapped at Qin Feiyang's chest. Caught off guard, Qin Feiyang was immediately sent flying, blood gushing out of his mouth. Young lord! Wang Ming and Qin Feiyang's expressions changed, and they hurriedly ran over. On the side, Yi Zhong instinctively took a step forward when Qin Feiyang landed. There was a trace of concern on his face. But then, that concern was replaced by indifference. He also retracted his steps. "Are you okay?" Wang Ming and Qin Feiyang helped Qin Feiyang up. "I'm fine." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and looked at the mad scientist. The mad scientist seemed to have calmed down a lot, and slowly raised his head to look at them. When he saw the blood at the corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth, he was stunned for a moment. Don't you remember?" Wang Ming and Qin Feiyang looked at the mad scientist in astonishment. "My mind was in a mess just now, and I suddenly felt someone close to me, speaking of which." The mad scientist's expression froze as he looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "You weren't beaten up by me, were you?" "It was you." Wang Ming and Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. "Ah." The mad scientist was stunned. He looked at Qin Feiyang and laughed dryly. "Sorry, I'll be gentler next time." "Next time?" The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. He walked up to the mad scientist and frowned. "What the hell happened to you just now?" The mad scientist stood up and looked at the stone door, saying telepathically, "I saw the same scene I saw last time." "Scene?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "The scene of a 10,000 zhang tall giant and a 10,000 zhang tall divine dragon fighting. And just like last time, when I saw these scenes, there was a sharp pain in my head. It was as if my soul was being torn apart," the mad scientist said. Although he didn't know what was going on, he had a feeling that this matter wasn't simple, and he couldn't let Yi Zhong and the others know. So, he had been transmitting his voice. "I see. Then this time, did you see their faces clearly?" Qin Feiyang asked secretly. "I wanted to see their faces clearly, but there seemed to be an invisible force in front of my eyes, so I couldn't see them clearly." The mad scientist shook his head. "I couldn't see them clearly," Qin Feiyang frowned. Why couldn't he, Yi Zhong, Beast Emperor, the young man and Wang Ming see these scenes, but the mad scientist could? What was the connection between the mad scientist and this hell? "What are you mumbling about?" Looking at Qin Feiyang and the young man who were exchanging glances in front of the stone door, Beast Emperor couldn't help but frown. "Nothing." The two of them shook their heads. "There must be something wrong," Beast Emperor muttered. He looked at the mad scientist and said, "Since the stone door didn't reflect your power, you should be able to open it, right? Hurry up and open the stone door. Let us see what's inside." The young man also spoke with a hint of curiosity in his eyes. The mad scientist looked at everyone, then at the stone door again with a hint of wariness in his eyes. He was really afraid, to see those scenes again and feel the sharp pain of his soul being torn apart. "We have to figure everything out." Qin Feiyang transmitted telepathically and gave the mad scientist an encouraging look. Chapter 2690. Madman lowered his head and pondered for a while, then suddenly looked at the stone door and nodded. "Okay." Decisively. He raised his arm again and slammed his palm against the stone door. The moment it touched the stone door, the scene appeared again. The soul-tearing pain also emerged. He gritted his teeth and pushed the stone door hard. Boom! Suddenly, a crack appeared in the middle of the stone door. The Beast Emperor and the others looked at each other. Madman could actually push it open. Why was that? One had to know. Madman was only at the 9th heaven realm. And here, except for Qin Feiyang, everyone's cultivation was higher than him. But no one could, except for Madman. Could it be that this blood tower really had something to do with Madman? "Open for me." Madman roared, baring his teeth. The excruciating pain that felt like his soul was being torn apart almost made him faint. However, the scene in his mind was still the same as before. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't see the faces of the giant and the giant dragon. The feeling of seeing flowers in the fog made him very uncomfortable. The crack of the door was getting bigger and bigger. Boom! Suddenly, a bloody aura suddenly gushed out from the crack of the door. Qin Feiyang and Madman were immediately drowned by that aura. No one knew how Madman felt. But in Qin Feiyang's heart, a fear that couldn't be dispelled emerged. It was like seeing a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, seeing the birth of a demon king. Immediately after, that aura drowned the young man, Yi Zhong, and the others. Just like Qin Feiyang, a sense of fear rose uncontrollably in his heart, as if he was trapped in purgatory. Open! Madman roared again, raising his other hand and slamming it against the stone door with all his strength. Boom! The stone door was finally completely opened. But there was nothing inside the stone door, only a thick blood mist. This blood mist was the evil power. And, just like the evil power in Fallen Valley, even the blood demon race couldn't absorb it. And as the stone door was completely opened, the bloody aura became even more terrifying. Boom! All of a sudden, a blood-red giant hand descended from the sky, slapping towards Qin Feiyang and the others. Immediately, everyone felt a sense of deadly crisis. That giant hand was several hundred feet long and covered in furry, blood-red hair. Qin Feiyang was shocked. Why did it look like the blood demon race's giant hand? The giant hand was like a mountain, blotting out the sky and covering the sun as it slapped towards Qin Feiyang and the others. Block it! Wang Ming shouted. The heaven-destroying sword array appeared and attacked the giant hand. Yang Li immediately summoned the dragon-subduing killing formation. 99 giant pythons charged toward the giant hand with monstrous killing intent. Rumble! After an earth-shattering rumble, the array of the Sword of Doom and the array of the Crouching Dragon were smashed into pieces by the giant hand. Puff! Wang Ming and Yang Li spat out mouthfuls of blood as they stumbled back. They stared at the giant hand in disbelief. How could he be so strong? The Beast Emperor and Yi Zhong were also slightly dazed. This was a little too ridiculously powerful. However, the giant hand did not stop at all and continued to slap towards the group. The Beast Emperor and Yi Zhong hurriedly attacked as well. They summoned their strongest divine arts and attacked the giant hand. Boom! However, that giant hand was like the hand of a peerless demon king. It was indestructible and unstoppable. Yi Zhong and Yang Li's divine arts were also destroyed instantly. They spat out mouthfuls of blood and stumbled back. No way! Qin Feiyang was shocked. Yi Zhong and Yang Li's divine arts were stronger than Wang Ming and Yang Li's, but they could not block the giant hand. Old Man Yi, power of laws! The Beast Emperor shouted. The Dharma of fire emerged and turned into a sea of fire. It surged forward and engulfed the giant hand instantly. It works. Everyone was stunned. However, before they could rejoice, the giant hand actually shattered the Dharma of fire and the entire sea of fire was destroyed instantly. Puff! Yi Zhong and Yang Li spat out mouthfuls of blood again. Interesting, the young man murmured. Suddenly, he leaped and punched the giant hand. Boom! A terrifying force roared out of the young man's fist like a torrent. He can definitely do it. Wang Ming whispered. However, before he could finish speaking, the young man was directly slapped down by the giant hand and smashed hard onto the ground. No way! Even he can't block it. Qin Feiyang and the others were dumbfounded. The young man's strength spoke for itself. He could even crush the ancestral dragons when they joined forces, but he was actually no match for the giant hand at this moment. How terrifying was this giant hand? Young Lord! Wang Ming and Yang Li looked at Qin Feiyang again. Understood. Qin Feiyang nodded and turned to look at Madman. However, his expression immediately stiffened. Where was Madman? Madman, who had been standing next to him all this time, had disappeared at some point. That's right. Where's Madman? Wang Ming and the others also noticed that the madman had disappeared, and they were all stupefied. When did he disappear? Why didn't anyone notice? Swish. Immediately after. Everyone looked at the stone door in unison. Had Madman entered the blood pagoda without a word? That should be the case. Otherwise, there was no way a person could vanish into thin air. Qin Feiyang came back to his senses and said in a deep voice, "Don't bother about him first. Hurry up and activate your divine arts." Boom! Wang Ming and Yang Li activated the heaven-vanquishing sword formation and dragon crouching formation once more. Beast Emperor and Yi Zhong also activated the Qilin Book and Fury of the Fire God. Qin Feiyang took a step forward and landed in front of the four of them. 3,000 clones appeared. With the activation of the Battle Soul and Eye of Heaven, countless divine arts appeared. Kill! Qin Feiyang let out a low roar, and his divine art majestically blasted towards the giant hand. The void shattered and the ground collapsed. However, this killer move that had always been successful was like a withered tree in front of the giant hand and could not withstand a single blow. The giant hand landed. The supplementary heaven-vanquishing sword formation, dragon crouching formation, Qilin Book, and Fury of the Fire God shattered and were annihilated continuously. How is this possible? Everyone's gazes trembled at this scene. One had to know. With Qin Feiyang's 3,000 clones and Eye of Heaven, no one under the imperishable stage could compete with him. Could it be, this giant hand had the strength of the imperishable stage? But how was this possible? The Hell of the King of Hell had a rule that it could not exceed the perfection 9th heaven stage. What was going on? Boom! The giant hand was like an invincible god of war, crazily crushing the divine arts that filled the sky. Poof! Blood gushed out of Qin Feiyang's mouth and his face was pale. Why can't I win? And his face was full of disbelief. Could it be that this giant hand really had the strength of the imperishable stage? For a moment, Qin Feiyang and the others were in a desperate situation and their lives were in danger. However, they did not know that frenzy did not enter the blood tower. And at this moment, Madman was just like before. He stood beside Qin Feiyang and didn't move at all. Not only that, under frenzy's gaze, Qin Feiyang and the others also stood in place without moving and did not see the so-called giant hand. Qin Feiyang, the stone door has been opened, let's go in and take a look. Frenzy opened his mouth and the pain in his head had disappeared. But Qin Feiyang next to him did not respond to him. Frenzy was taken aback and turned to look at Qin Feiyang, frowning. What are you doing? I am talking to you. But Qin Feiyang still ignored him as if he did not hear him. What's going on? Frenzy finally realized that something was wrong. He looked at Yi Zhong, the young man and the others and found that they were all standing in place without making a sound as if they had lost their souls. Frenzy was puzzled and patted Qin Feiyang's shoulder, shouting, "Did you hear that? Did you hear that? What's wrong with you?" But even so, Qin Feiyang still ignored him. What's going on? Frenzy was completely dumbfounded. Wait a minute. Frenzy looked at the blood tower with surprise. Could it be that the abnormality of Qin Feiyang and the others was related to the opening of the blood tower? They have already fallen into an illusion. Chapter 2691. Who lives with you in this world? Let me tell you, don't provoke this daddy. If this daddy gets angry, even this daddy is afraid of myself. Also, hurry up and remove this illusion for this daddy. If anything happens to Qin Feiyang, this daddy will tear down your nest. Madman snorted coldly. Sure enough, as Qin Feiyang said, even if it was a friendly call, it might not be a good thing. Qin Feiyang, Blood Shadow looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "You care about him a lot?" "Nonsense. He's this daddy's friend." Madman said. "Friend," Blood Shadow murmured and nodded, "it's indeed a good thing to have a few close friends. I told you to remove the illusion, not to say such nonsense." Madman said angrily. The mysterious Blood Shadow said, "I can remove the illusion, but you have to hand over your body to me. In your dreams." Madman's eyes turned cold. "You probably don't know how terrifying this illusion is. This illusion, no matter how strong the other party is, they can't break it. Only I can remove it. So, if you don't listen to me, they will all die." The mysterious Blood Shadow said. "So powerful?" Madman frowned and asked, "Then what's the meaning of you attacking us in the valley?" "Of course it's to kill them. Because with them helping you, my possession of your body will definitely not go smoothly. But I never expected that this Qin Feiyang is so strong that I have no choice but to activate this illusion. Do you know? To activate this illusion, I will have to pay a huge price." The mysterious Blood Shadow said. "What price?" Madman was suspicious. The mysterious Blood Shadow said, "It will consume 2/3 of my divine soul." "Then the price is indeed quite high." Madman nodded. "So, if you don't hand over your body, I won't remove the illusion." The mysterious Blood Shadow said. "This daddy doesn't believe that your illusion is really so powerful." Madman turned around and ran to Qin Feiyang's side, shouting into Qin Feiyang's ear, "Wake up for this daddy." But Qin Feiyang was still indifferent. "Bastard! Hasn't your willpower always been very strong? Why can't I even break a mere illusion? Have you forgotten that Qin Batian and the others are still waiting for you? Have you forgotten that the dragons are still alive? There is more. Have you forgotten? If you die here, the mermaid princess, Huo Lian, and the others in the castle will be trapped here forever. You, wake up." Madman roared anxiously. Meanwhile, inside the illusion, Qin Feiyang, Wang Ming and the others were engaged in a fierce battle with the giant hand. Their bodies were dripping with blood. Even the young man was in a miserable state. But no matter what they did, they couldn't defeat the giant hand. Boom! But suddenly, a vague voice sounded in Qin Feiyang's mind. This voice, Qin Feiyang was stunned. It sounded like the voice of a lunatic, but it was very vague and weak. He had no idea what the lunatic was talking about. But that wasn't right. Didn't the lunatic enter the blood pagoda? Why was the voice still ringing in his mind? He glanced at the stone door of the blood pagoda and calmed down, trying hard to capture the lunatic's voice. Gradually, the lunatic's voice became clearer and clearer. He heard the lunatic talking about Qin Batian, Mermaid Princess, Fire Lotus, and Wake Up, Illusion. What did this mean? In the end, he simply retreated to the side and closed his eyes. "Qin Feiyang, what are you doing? Come and help me!" the Beast Emperor shouted. But Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear to him and focused on capturing the lunatic's voice. Suddenly, he heard one sentence clearly. "Wake up! Wake up!" Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. Why would the lunatic say this? Wake up, suddenly. Qin Feiyang suddenly opened his eyes and looked around, then at the giant hand. Could it be that everything here was an illusion? Outside, the lunatic kept roaring in Qin Feiyang's ears. "I already told you, it's useless. Give up early." The mysterious Blood Shadow looked at the lunatic mockingly. "Don't look down on Qin Feiyang. His willpower is not something you can imagine. Those who dared to look down on him have already gone to hell." The lunatic snorted coldly. Is that so? The mysterious blood shadow smiled. Of course. But you keep talking nonsense and haven't taken over my body. Do you have any concerns? If you have any concerns, just say it. I will help you think of a solution. The lunatic sneered. You still dare to provoke me. Brat, you have guts. I will fulfill your wish now. The blood shadow smiled sinisterly and turned into a stream of light, heading for the top of the lunatic's head. The lunatic slapped with his palm, but the blood shadow easily dodged and directly entered the top of the lunatic's head. Ah! The lunatic immediately hugged his head and howled miserably. Bang! At the same time, the motionless Qin Feiyang suddenly released a terrifying aura. You're awake. The lunatic raised his head and looked at Qin Feiyang in pain. Qin Feiyang nodded and scanned the surroundings. It was indeed an illusion. He then looked at the lunatic and said, What's wrong with you? That blood shadow drilled into my sea of consciousness and wants to take over my body. The lunatic said. What? Qin Feiyang's expression changed. The lunatic continued, This illusion was also set up by him. Bastard! Qin Feiyang's eyes darkened. Waves of divine sense swept out from the top of his head and said, Let's kill him together. After saying that, his divine sense poured into the lunatic's sea of consciousness. Qin Feiyang immediately saw that the blood shadow was crazily eroding the lunatic's divine sense. He really broke the illusion. When the blood shadow saw Qin Feiyang's divine sense appear, he was also extremely shocked. You even dare to take over the lunatic's body, you really don't know life from death. Qin Feiyang roared. His divine sense immediately turned into a torrent that pounced at the blood shadow. At the same time, the lunatic's divine sense also emerged and blasted towards the blood shadow. The two of them attacked from the inside and outside. Two mere ants in the ninth heaven stage want to fight me. The blood shadow laughed sinisterly and turned into two blood mists that pounced towards Qin Feiyang and the lunatic's divine sense. Puff! Outside, Qin Feiyang and the lunatic immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. Their divine sense was actually completely swallowed by the blood shadow in an instant. Hee, although forcefully taking over my body in the fusion won't be perfect, it doesn't matter now. The blood shadow smiled sinisterly and pounced towards the lunatic's divine sense again. The lunatic was in despair. Qin Feiyang was also burning with anxiety. Wait! Don't I have the soul-anchoring divine pearl? The soul-anchoring divine pearl should be able to protect the lunatic's divine sense. Qin Feiyang suddenly had an idea. He took out the soul-anchoring divine pearl and erased the blood contract inside. He handed it to the lunatic and shouted, Quickly recognize it as your master. The lunatic naturally wouldn't be unreasonable. After all, their relationship was right there. He grabbed the soul-anchoring divine pearl. After his blood merged with the soul-anchoring divine pearl, the soul-anchoring divine pearl immediately drilled into the lunatic's divine sense and merged with his divine sense. Whing! Immediately, divine light appeared and blocked the blood shadow outside, protecting the lunatic's divine sense. What is this? The blood shadow was shocked. As expected of the soul-anchoring divine pearl. Let's see how you're going to take over my body now. The lunatic laughed and the pain also dissipated. Damn it! The blood shadow roared. He didn't expect that these people would have such a divine item in their hands. A divine item like the soul-anchoring divine pearl that protected the divine soul could be said to be comparable to a heaven-defying divine item. Moreover, it was extremely rare in the world. Since I can't take over your body, I'll settle for the next best thing. I'll take over Qin Feiyang's body. The blood shadow sneered and shot out of the lunatic's divine sense. It instantly entered Qin Feiyang's head again. Qin Feiyang, the lunatic's expression changed immediately. Although you can't absorb the evil power, your talent and abilities aren't bad. With your body, I can still return to the peak of this world. The blood shadow smiled viciously and lunged toward Qin Feiyang's divine sense. Qin Feiyang immediately felt a sense of fatal danger. Upon seeing this, the lunatic did not hesitate to retrieve the soul-anchoring divine pearl and return it to Qin Feiyang. Clang! However, at the same time, the nine-leaf fire lotus hovering in Qin Feiyang's body suddenly charged out of his sea of qi and entered his divine sense. 9 fire lotus leaves fell and hovered around Qin Feiyang's divine sense. Soon after, a terrifying aura surged toward the blood shadow. What's that? The blood shadow shrieked and hastily fled from Qin Feiyang's divine sense. He glared at Qin Feiyang and roared, "What kind of monster are you?" Whoosh! Qin Feiyang heaved a sigh of relief. He looked at the blood shadow and said, "You're irrational." "That's right. We've always been arrogant in front of others. No one dares to be arrogant in front of us." The lunatic sneered and blocked the blood shadow's path. As for the soul-anchoring divine pearl, he kept it to protect his divine sense. Cough! Cough! Can you not talk about being arrogant? Those who don't know might think we're good-for-nothing rich kids. Qin Feiyang was speechless. "Don't worry about these details." The lunatic grinned. Boom! At this moment, the young man broke free from the illusion as well. He stepped to the left of the blood shadow and said, "You're bold. You even dared to scheme against me." There was a cold glint in his eyes. This was the first time Qin Feiyang saw the young man angry. Boom! Soon after, Yi Zhong, the Beast Emperor, and Wang Ming also broke free from the illusion one after another and went forward to surround the blood shadow. How could this be? The blood shadow was in disbelief. When I found out that it was an illusion, I told them. And each of them is an overlord of the ancient world. With their strength and willpower, it's only a matter of time before they break the illusion. Qin Feiyang said. Damn it, damn it. The blood shadow roared. It's you who deserves to die. The young man's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He waved his hand in the air and a bright divine light emerged. It instantly turned into a barrier and trapped the blood shadow inside. Want to trap me? Dream on. The blood shadow roared and blasted toward the barrier. However, the barrier showed no signs of breaking. The young man's face was full of contempt. The blood shadow was instantly dumbfounded. At first, I thought that you were more sensible. Although you tried to kill Qin Feiyang and the others, at least you didn't come to find trouble with me. But I didn't expect you to use an illusion to kill me. It seems that I overestimated your IQ. Do you know what will happen to you if you anger me? The young man raised his arm and clenched his 5 fingers like an eagle's claw. The barrier that trapped the blood shadow immediately began to shrink. An aura of death also drowned the blood shadow. Chapter 2692. Wait a minute. Suddenly, a loud and clear voice could be heard. Everyone was stunned and looked at Qin Feiyang. This was because the voice came from Qin Feiyang's body. Senior King Yu. Qin Feiyang was also stunned. The owner of the voice was King Yu. Brother Qin, let me out. King Yu seemed to be in a hurry. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. Although he didn't know what was going on, he couldn't reject King Yu's request. As for the evil force, there was no need to worry about lunatic. Qin Feiyang made a mental move and the ancient city of King Yu flew out of his vital energy reserve. This is the ancient city of King Yu. The Beast Emperor and Yi Zhong's pupils constricted. The relationship between Qin Feiyang and King Yu was already this good. He even dared to leave the ancient city of King Yu to Qin Feiyang. This is, the ancient city of King Yu. At the same time, the Crimson Shadow exclaimed. Qin Feiyang looked at the Crimson Shadow in a daze. It wasn't surprising that Yi Zhong and the Beast Emperor knew the ancient city of Qingyu. After all, they had fought with Qingyu more than once. However, this Crimson Shadow actually knew the ancient city of Qingyu too. Brother Qin, hurry. Qingyu's urging voice rang out once more. Okay. Qin Feiyang came back to his senses. With a thought, Qingyu's huge body appeared beside Qin Feiyang. Qingyu. Yi Zhong and the Beast Emperor's pupils constricted and they were on their guard. At the same time, the Crimson Shadow also became silent. Senior Qingyu, Qin Feiyang was about to ask, but when he saw Qingyu's expression, his eyes lit up. Qingyu stared at the Crimson Shadow. There were bewilderment, joy, and nervousness in his eyes. In short, it was very complicated. Senior Qingyu, what's going on? Qin Feiyang turned to look at Lunatic and asked through voice transmission. Lunatic shook his head and looked suspicious. For a moment, no one spoke here, and the place fell into a deathly silence. The young man also retracted his arm and looked curiously at the Ghost King and Blood Shadow. A long time passed. Qingyu suddenly lost control of his emotions and exclaimed, Lord Father, is that you? What? Father? Qin Feiyang and the others were shocked. This Blood Shadow was Qingyu's father. When Blood Shadow heard this, his body seemed to tremble as he mumbled, Child, is that you? It's really you. Father, the Ghost King instantly cried tears of joy as he threw a punch at the barrier trapping Blood Shadow. Boom! However, the barrier did not shatter. Instead, it was the Ghost King who was pushed back by the barrier. Whoosh! The Ghost King abruptly turned around and glared at the young man, his eyes flashing coldly. Senior Ghost King, don't be rash. Qin Feiyang saw that the situation was not good and hurriedly stood between Qingyu and the young man. What a joke! The young man's strength was so frightening. If the Ghost King were to make a move to infuriate him, even the Ghost King would suffer a great loss. Who? The Ghost King took a deep breath and cupped his fists at the young man. Human, please let my Lord Father off. The young man was silent. The Ghost King could not help but frown. He was so polite completely on account of Qin Feiyang. If not for Qin Feiyang, he would have already made a move. As for the young man's strength, he did not know much about it but he was not afraid. Well, Qin Feiyang glanced at the young man and coughed dryly. He looked at the Ghost King and said, Senior Ghost King, I think we should clarify this matter first. What if he is not your father? No. He is, the Ghost King said. The Ghost King said. You haven't even seen his face. How do you know that he is? We'll talk about it later. Looking at him, I feel that he is more like a human. Qin Feiyang said. This was because this Blood Shadow, be it in terms of height or body shape, was very similar to a human. If he was really the Ghost King's father, his body would not be so small. No. He is my father. The Ghost King shook his head and looked at the Blood Shadow. Lord Father, show your true appearance and let them see. The Blood Shadow was silent for a long time. With a sigh, his entire body began to condense. A nose, eyes, and mouth gradually appeared. In a short while, an old man in blood-red clothes appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The old man was only about 1.8 meters tall and had long blood-red hair. Even the beard on his chin was blood-red. His eyes were even more bloodshot. Its father, the Ghost King, clenched his fists tightly and looked at Qin Feiyang. Do you see that? He is my father. Qin Feiyang sized up the old man. This was not a blood demon. He was simply a human. This is not Father's physical body. It is Father's divine soul. The Ghost King said. Divine soul. Qin Feiyang and the rest looked at each other. It turned out that it was a divine soul. If it was a divine soul, that would explain it. Because the blood demons were large in size, their divine souls were naturally extraordinary. However, such a large divine soul was really rare. Just like dragons. The divine souls of dragons were only a meter long. The divine souls of humans were even smaller. Although the divine souls of humans could transform into their own appearance, which was the same height as them, the true size of the divine soul was only the size of a baby's palm. In other words, it was a pocket-sized person. The Beast Emperor looked at the blood-red clothed old man and frowned at the Ghost King. Is he really your father? The Ghost King nodded. That's not right. Do you remember that when we fought once, you personally said that your father had already fallen? The Beast Emperor raised his eyebrows. This old man also remembers you saying that. Yi Zhong nodded. Yes. In this king's memories, father has indeed fallen. This king is also very puzzled now. Why is father's divine soul in this fallen valley? Father, can you tell me what's going on? The Ghost King looked at the blood-red clothed old man and said. The blood-red clothed old man's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Let's not talk so much first. Hurry up and call our clansmen to take down that lunatic. Take down the lunatic? The Ghost King's body stiffened. He turned to look at the lunatic, then at the blood-red clothed old man and asked, why? The blood-red clothed old man hesitated and shouted, don't ask so many questions. Just take him down. In any case, he is very important to me. No. The Ghost King shook his head. What? The blood-red clothed old man looked at the Ghost King in shock. It was obvious that he did not expect the Ghost King to disobey his orders. The lunatic and Qin Feiyang are both friends of the blood demon tribe. The fact that I handed the ancient city to Qin Feiyang means that we trust each other. You asked me to attack a friend. I can't do that. The Ghost King shook his head. Friend, the blood-red clothed old man looked at the Ghost King in a daze. He did not expect his own son to be friends with his opponent. This was really heaven's will. Father, if there's anything, we can sit down and talk slowly. There's no need to fight to the death. The Ghost King persuaded. Are you stupid? Is the grudge between the blood demon tribe and the dragons not deep enough? You still want to be friends with them? You've really disappointed me. The blood-red clothed old man roared. They are not dragons, the Ghost King said. The Ghost King said. What's the difference between humans and dragons? Look at Yi Zhong. He's helping the dragons do evil. All these years, many of our blood demon tribe members have died in his hands. This is what humans are like. They are more terrifying than the dragons. The blood-red clothed old man roared. No. Qin Feiyang and the lunatic are different from other humans. You have to believe me. I won't be wrong about them. The Ghost King quickly explained. The blood-red clothed old man was so angry that his body kept trembling. How could he have such a foolish son? How could he trust such hypocritical creatures like humans? Regardless of whether you believe me or not, I've always treated the Ghost King as a friend. No. To be exact, I treat him as my senior. Qin Feiyang looked at the blood-red clothed old man and said. Humph, stop with your flowery words. The blood-red clothed old man snorted coldly. Qin Feiyang shook his head helplessly and turned to the young man with a smile. Brother, can you give me some face? Brother, the corners of the young man's mouth twitched slightly as he shook his head. Don't call me brother. In terms of seniority, I'm your junior. What? Junior? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yi Zhong, Beast Emperor, Wang Ming, and the madman were all stupefied. Weren't they unrelated? Why was he Qin Feiyang's junior now? Besides, the young man's strength was so strong, so in terms of seniority, Qin Feiyang should be the young man's junior. What was the relationship between these two? Looking at everyone's reaction, the young man didn't explain further. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Since you've personally spoken, I'll spare him this time." The young man waved his hand and the barrier that trapped the blood-red clothed old man immediately dissipated. "You." The corners of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. Why was it getting more and more ridiculous? Qin Feiyang only took it as a joke. He cupped his hands and said with a smile, "Thank you. Thank you." The Ghost King also smiled gratefully at the young man. Humph. However, the blood-red clothed old man wasn't grateful at all. His eyes were filled with disgust. But it wasn't just the young man alone that he hated, but also Qin Feiyang, Yi Zhong and the others. It seemed that he really hated humans and dragons to the bone. The Ghost King sighed. "Father, believe me. Qin Feiyang is really different from the lunatic." "Different," the blood-red clothed old man sneered and looked at Qin Feiyang and the lunatic. "Do you dare enter the Blood Tower with me?" "Enter the Blood Tower?" Qin Feiyang and the lunatic immediately looked at the stone door. Wasn't entering the Blood Tower what they wanted? But now, they really were a little hesitant. Seeing their concerns, the Ghost King said with a smile, "Don't worry, I'm here." "All right." Qin Feiyang and the lunatic nodded. Although the blood-red clothed old man couldn't be trusted, the Ghost King was absolutely trustworthy. "Then come with me." With that, the blood-red clothed old man waved his hand and disappeared into the Blood Tower with the Ghost King. Qin Feiyang and the lunatic looked at each other, then resolutely stepped into the Blood Tower. "Yang Li, let's follow them." Wang Ming shouted. Yang Li nodded. The two of them immediately rushed toward the stone door. Yi Zhong, the Beast Emperor, and the young man also walked toward the stone door with a trace of curiosity. But before they could reach the stone door slammed shut with a bang. The five of them stood outside the stone door in a daze. The next moment, Beast Emperor was furious and shouted, "What is the meaning of this? Why did you let Qin Feiyang and the lunatic in, but not us?" Wang Ming and the others were also very unhappy. But the stone door didn't open again, and the blood-red clothed old man ignored them. Chapter 2693. The first floor of the Blood Tower. This was a very large space. It was about 100 feet tall. 4 stone pillars stood at the 4 corners. The pillars were also engraved with the Blood Demon race's pattern. But other than these 4 stone pillars, they couldn't find anything else. It could be described with the words 4 bare walls in the house. Qin Feiyang and Madman stood in the middle and looked around curiously. "Father, this seems to be the Blood Demon Tower?" King Yu asked. "That's right. This is the Blood Demon Tower." The blood-red robed old man nodded. "Blood Demon Tower?" Qin Feiyang and Madman were slightly stunned and looked at King Yu suspiciously. "The Blood Demon Tower is the sacred artifact of my race. I remember seeing it once when I was very young. After that, the Blood Demon Tower disappeared with my father. But I didn't expect that both of them would be imprisoned in Fallen Valley." King Yu sighed. Madman nodded and asked, "Since it's the sacred artifact of your Blood Demon race, then this Blood Demon Tower must be extraordinary." "Of course. This Blood Demon Tower itself is a heaven-defying divine artifact." King Yu nodded. "What?" Qin Feiyang and Madman were shocked. It was actually a heaven-defying divine artifact. No wonder they couldn't break open the stone door. "Wait." Qin Feiyang suddenly waved his hand and frowned. "Isn't there a rule in the Nether King Hell that prohibits the use of heaven-defying divine artifacts?" King Yu was silent for a while and sighed. The Nether King Hell in the past didn't have such a rule. Qin Feiyang and Madman were stunned. The Nether King Hell in the past, other than the evil power, was actually no different from the outside world. Everyone could break through to the imperishable realm and use any heaven-defying divine artifacts. King Yu whispered. There was a yearning for the past in his expression, and there was also a trace of anger. This, Qin Feiyang and Madman looked at each other. Madman asked, is it because of the Dragon God? That's right. The one who changed everything was the Dragon God. Although in the past, we have never left the underworld king's hell and didn't know that there was an outside world, let alone the existence of you humans, but, we are very happy. Hell is also very peaceful. Everyone is worry-free. But one day, the Dragon God appeared and broke the peace, speaking of which. King Yu could not help but clench his fists tightly. His eyes were filled with hatred. Qin Feiyang and Qin Haodong remained silent, waiting for the rest of the story. At that time, the underworld king's hell was flourishing and prosperous. There are billions of blood demons alone. If we include the ferocious beasts, there are at least tens of billions, or even hundreds of billions. You could say that we were at the peak of the infernal king hell. But, on the day the Dragon God descended, all the clansmen above war god level, as well as the ferocious beasts, were all killed by the Dragon God. Yuang said in a deep voice. All the beasts and clansmen above the war god level were killed. What is the reason? Qin Feiyang and Li Wuyo were bewildered. There is no reason. King Yu shook his head. What? Qin Feiyang and Li Wuyo's bodies trembled. If there is no reason, isn't that the same as killing the innocent? Yes. There is no reason. At this time. The blood-red clothed old man shook his head and sighed. Qin Feiyang and Li Wuyo looked at the blood-red clothed old man. At that time, this old man was the strongest person in the infernal king's hell. My cultivation had already stepped into the perfect undead realm, the blood-red clothed old man said. Perfect undead realm. Qin Feiyang and Li Wuyo were shocked. Isn't this stronger than Yizhong and ancestral Gregon? As the strongest person in the infernal king's hell and the current leader of the blood demons, this old man naturally could not watch the Dragon God slaughter the creatures of the infernal king's hell. At that time, this old man was the first to attack the 10 commanders of the blood demons. Each of these 10 commanders had a cultivation base of the great success undead realm. Moreover, we had a heaven-defying artifact and the power of law. Originally, we all thought that with our strength, we would definitely be able to kill the Dragon God and return peace to the infernal king's hell. But when we fought, we realized how strong the Dragon God was. An existence like him is not something we can defeat. In the end, the 10 commanders all died in battle, and their bodies and souls were destroyed. This old man was also seriously injured by the Dragon God. My physical body was shattered, and my soul was destroyed. Only a wisp of my soul was left. And I will be trapped here forever. The blood-red clothed old man sighed. Fortunately, this king was still young and had not broken through to the war god realm. Otherwise, I would definitely have died in the Dragon God's hands. Ghost King said. I see. Qin Feiyang and Li Wuyo nodded in realization. They felt even more disgusted with the ice dragon. This bastard was still as unreasonable as ever. It was the same for the blood demons and them. What right did it have to kill others for no reason? What right did you have? Just because you are stronger than others, you can dictate the life and death of others. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath, looked at the blood-red clothed old man, and asked, the statue on the top floor of the blood demon tower, is it you? No. The blood-red clothed old man shook his head. It's not you. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He thought. The blood-red clothed old man was the owner of the blood demon tower. The statue on the top floor should be the blood-red clothed old man, but he didn't expect it to not be him. He is the ancestor of our blood demon clan. He is a very impressive figure. The blood demon tower was left behind by our ancestor. The blood-red clothed old man said. Ancestor. Qin Feiyang mumbled. Do you know? Although this old man is not dead, whenever I think of my dead clansman, this old man feels more pain than death. This blood feud is as deep as the sea. This old man is unwilling, so this old man must take revenge. And you are the key. The blood-red clothed old man suddenly turned his head and stared at Madman. I am the key. Madman was stunned. What did he mean? Qin Feiyang and King Yu also looked at the blood-red clothed old man suspiciously. This was Madman's first time entering the Nether King's hell. How could he be the key to taking revenge? Father, are you mistaken? King Yu asked. He always thought that Qin Feiyang was the hope of the blood demon clan, but why did he become Madman in his father's eyes? This old man must possess your body. As long as I succeed, this old man will be able to leave Fallen Valley and find the dragon god to take revenge. So, when the blood-red clothed old man said this, his eyes couldn't help but reveal a sinister smile. His entire body turned into a bloody mist and rushed toward Madman's head again. Father, King Yu exclaimed. Qin Feiyang and Madman's expression changed. No one can stop this old man. The blood-red clothed old man laughed sinisterly. He attacked Madman's sea of consciousness and crazily hit the soul-calming divine pearl. With every hit, Madman's divine soul would feel a sharp pain. Senior King Yu, Qin Feiyang looked at King Yu anxiously. King Yu's eyes flickered. Suddenly, he gritted his teeth and roared, Father, if you dare to possess him, I'll self-destruct in front of you. This represented his determination. Fool! Do you know how important he is to our blood demon clan? You want to self-destruct? Then self-destruct. I'll take it that I don't have a son like you. The blood-red clothed old man snorted coldly. His tone was ruthless and cold. Old fart, don't go too far. Madman roared. If you don't stop, then don't blame me for being impolite. Qin Feiyang's expression was also grim. This has nothing to do with you. You entered the Nether King's hell to seek wealth. As long as you don't interfere, this old man will give you a few heaven-defying divine artifacts. The blood-red clothed old man shouted. Heaven-defying divine artifacts, Qin Feiyang muttered and shook his head. If it were anyone else, they might be tempted, but it's useless against me. Nine-leaf fire lotus. At that moment, Qin Feiyang activated his battle soul. But soon after, his expression froze as he exclaimed, What's going on? Because the nine-leaf fire lotus did not appear. You don't know, do you? This blood demon tower has a terrifying ability. As long as you're in the blood demon tower, you won't be able to activate your divine art or battle soul. The blood-red clothed old man laughed loudly. What? There's such an ability? Qin Feiyang turned pale with fright. He turned to look at King Yu and asked, Is that true? Yes. King Yu nodded. Damn it. Qin Feiyang was furious. He tried to activate his red sword soul again, but it still could not be activated. It's useless. No one can break this ability of the blood demon tower. King Yu shook his head. Qin Feiyang clenched his fists. As it turned out, it was a trap for him and Madman to enter the blood demon tower. Father, please, let him go. He's our friend. When I was young, didn't you always teach me to treat my friends with sincerity? King Yu roared. Friends also depend on who they are. If they're our clansmen, naturally, we have to treat them well. But the dragons and humans, they're foreigners. They're our enemies, we have to be cruel to our enemies. The blood-clad old man smiled viciously. They're different. Can I kneel and beg you? King Yu's huge body fell to his knees with a loud thud. However, the blood-clad old man was indifferent. King Yu looked at Qin Feiyang. His eyes were filled with self-blame. "Senior King Yu, this isn't your fault." Qin Feiyang shook his head and heaved a long sigh. Then, he sat cross-legged on the ground. Boom! At this moment, waves of divine consciousness shot out from the top of his head and surged toward Madman's sea of consciousness. "I'll help you." Qin Feiyang bellowed, and his divine sense frantically rushed towards the blood mist formed by the blood-red-clothed old man. "Huh," Madman laughed loudly. He also activated his divine consciousness and pounced toward the blood-clad old man. Like moths flying into a flame, his divine consciousness shattered one after another. But the two did not give up. Even if their divine consciousness was exhausted, they still had to fight the blood-clad old man to the end. The blood-clad old man shouted at King Yu, who was kneeling outside, "What are you still doing? Quickly take this opportunity to kill Qin Feiyang." King Yu lowered his head, struggling in his heart. On one side was his father. On the other side was his friend. How should he choose? "Idiot, idiot!" The blood-clad old man roared at Qin Feiyang and Madman. "Let's see how much divine consciousness you have. Let's see how long this artifact can protect you." An invisible battle unfolded in Madman's sea of consciousness. Chapter 2694. Pooh! As their divine senses continued to shatter, Qin Feiyang and the madman's faces became paler and paler. Blood kept coming out of their mouths. The gap between the two of them and the old man was too big. They couldn't block the old man's attacks at all. Gradually, their divine senses became weaker and weaker, and they felt dizzy in their minds. What's going on? There are rules in hell that forbid the use of heaven-defying divine items. But why does the Blood Demon Tower retain such a heaven-defying ability? The madman roared. If they could activate their battle souls, the nine-leaf fire lotus and the red sword soul would definitely be able to help them. Because the Blood Demon Tower is an exception. When the dragon god sealed the Blood Demon Tower here, he didn't have the ability to seal it. In other words, although the Blood Demon Tower can't be revived, it still has this ability. I advise you to give up. No matter what you do, it's useless. The old man laughed cruelly. Pooh! Before he finished speaking, Qin Feiyang suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood and fell down. The madman was the same. He felt dizzy in his mind. This was the sign of overusing his divine sense. You think you can stop me with just the two of you? You overestimate yourselves. The old man laughed and pounced on the madman's divine sense again. The defensive barrier formed by the soul-anchoring divine pearl gradually collapsed under the repeated attacks. If this continued, the soul-anchoring divine soul's defense would collapse sooner or later. At that time, the madman's body would definitely be possessed. What should we do? Qin Feiyang got up from the ground and looked at the madman anxiously. Was there really no way to stop him? If the young man, Wang Ming, and the others were here, they would definitely stop the old man. But now, everyone was blocked outside, they probably didn't even know what was going on here. Crack! Dozens of breaths later, the sound of something breaking could be heard. A crack appeared on the soul-anchoring divine pearl. Huh, break for me. The old man roared and slammed into the pearl again. The soul-anchoring divine pearl finally reached its limit and broke into pieces. Let's see who can stop me now. The old man laughed and pounced on the madman's divine sense. Madman immediately hugged his head and screamed miserably. A deadly sense of danger rose in his heart. He could even clearly feel that the old man in crimson attire was robbing his consciousness and fusing with his spirit. Let's do it again. Qin Feiyang made up his mind, and his divine soul flew out from the top of his head. Brother Qin, you can't. Seeing this, King Yu's body and mind trembled as he shouted. Obviously, Qin Feiyang wanted to use his divine sense to stop his father. But you have to know. Qin Feiyang's divine soul was no match for his father's divine soul. Doing so would only bring about his own destruction. Although I might die if I do this, I can't just watch the madman get possessed. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. His divine soul turned into a stream of light and flew towards the top of madman's head. You're courting death. The old man in crimson attire sneered. When Qin Feiyang's divine soul entered the madman's sea of consciousness, the old man in crimson attire released a blood mist and blasted it towards Qin Feiyang's divine soul. Boom! His divine soul was instantly shattered. Qin Feiyang's body also shook violently, and blood spurted out uncontrollably. It was just a meeting, but his divine soul was shattered. Go to hell. The old man in crimson attire was murderous. Qin Feiyang also suddenly felt a deadly sense of danger. But at this moment, a blood light gushed out from the bottom of the blood tower and rushed into the madman's sea of consciousness like lightning and blasted towards the old man in crimson attire. Ah! The old man in crimson attire screamed on the spot and immediately fled in horror. What's going on? Qin Feiyang and the madman were stunned. Where did this blood light come from? Before they could react, the blood light rushed out of the madman's sea of consciousness and disappeared under the blood tower. The Ghost King saw the blood light rush out from the ground and disappear with his own eyes, and his eyes were filled with shock. Damn it, why did you stop me? It's been so many years, and you still can't forget him. Don't forget, I'm your master now. The old man in crimson attire suddenly roared. He was looking at the blood tower. Could it be that the blood demon tower helped them? Qin Feiyang was stunned. His shattered divine soul returned to his sea of consciousness, and he immediately felt dizzy. Although his divine soul was shattered, it didn't shatter. Qin Feiyang clenched his teeth and tried to maintain his consciousness as he looked at the old man in crimson attire. He looked at the old man in crimson attire who was hysterical and unwilling, and then looked at the blood demon tower, his eyes filled with suspicion. After the madman woke up, he also looked at the blood demon tower in confusion. What's going on? Why would the blood demon tower help him? Boom! Suddenly, the ground under the four people's feet shook violently. Qin Feiyang, the madman, and the Ghost King hurriedly looked at the ground. What's going on? Swish! The next moment, an invisible force surged. Qin Feiyang and the other three people's bodies suddenly became light and disappeared from the blood tower. At the same time, outside, the ground was also shaking. The young man, Yi Zhong, the Beast Emperor, and Wang Ming were also bewildered at this moment. Moreover, the momentum was getting louder and louder. Swish! Suddenly, four figures appeared out of thin air. It was Qin Feiyang and the other three people. Wang Ming and Yang Li immediately ran up and asked in surprise, "Young lord, what's going on?" "I don't know either." Qin Feiyang shook his head. The ground around them was shaking as if there was an earthquake. Boom! All of a sudden, the stone door of the blood demon tower opened automatically. A terrifying suction force surged out from it. "Be careful." Wang Ming and the other two people's expressions changed as they hurriedly protected Qin Feiyang and the madman behind them. At that moment, the group of people was trapped in the strong wind and huge waves like a Category 12 typhoon. However, with their cultivation, they could still withstand it. However, the evil force around them was crazily surging toward the blood demon tower. If one looked down from the sky at this moment, they would see a shocking scene. The evil force in the entire fallen valley was surging toward the blood demon tower. The endless evil force gathered together from all directions like waves of blood. The Ghost King looked at the blood-red clothed old man and asked, "Father, do you know what's going on?" However, the blood-red clothed old man was silent as he stared at the evil force that was constantly surging toward the Blood Demon Tower with a trace of bewilderment in his eyes. "Don't be careless." Qin Feiyang reminded the madman, and Wang Ming beside him, then took out a life pill and threw it into his mouth. The life pill had the effect of repairing the soul. As he silently repaired his soul, he looked around vigilantly. Roar! In the distance. Suddenly, there was a roar. This is the roar of the blood puppet. The Beast Emperor was bewildered. I can actually hear fear in their roars. Wang Ming said in disbelief. Could it be, the evil force in the entire Fallen Valley is surging toward here? Yang Li frowned. Time passed bit by bit. After about 2 hours, Yang Li suddenly pointed behind him and shouted, "Look!" Everyone turned their heads to look, and their expressions froze. The evil force was surging toward them from behind, but through the evil force, they could already see the mountains and the earth outside. Furthermore, they saw that dozens of blood puppets had lost their evil force and died on their own, turning into ashes. Could it be that the Blood Demon Tower had really absorbed all the evil force in the entire Fallen Valley? About 10 breaths later. As the last wave of evil force surged into the Blood Demon Tower, the surroundings became clear. In front of them was a barren land. Apart from the blood puppets, there were no other living creatures. However, at this moment, the blood puppets were dying on their own, turning into ashes one by one. The most important thing was, there was no longer any trace of evil force in the surrounding void. In other words, the Blood Demon Tower had indeed devoured all the evil force in the Fallen Valley. What the hell is going on? But until now, no one had figured it out. Boom! Suddenly, a series of loud rumbling sounds suddenly rang out. The ground trembled even more violently. Moreover, cracks appeared on the ground. Qin Feiyang and the others hurriedly looked at the Blood Demon Tower and found that it was rising from the ground at this moment. Everyone was surprised. The blood-robed old man, who had been silent all this time, suddenly stared at the Blood Demon Tower and roared, "You can't do this, your current master is me." What? Everyone looked at the blood-robed old man suspiciously. However, the blood-robed old man turned a blind eye and stared at the Blood Demon Tower with a furious expression. Clang! It was also at this moment, another loud sound suddenly rang out. Everyone was shocked and hurriedly looked at the madman. The madman himself was also surprised. Whoosh! Suddenly, a divine light swept out from the madman's body and appeared in the sky. It was also an ancient tower. It was blood-red in color and was 100 feet tall. However, there was only one floor and it emitted a terrifying aura. Qin Feiyang asked suspiciously, "Senior brother madman, what are you?" "This is my space divine object." The madman transmitted his voice. What? Space divine object? Qin Feiyang was stunned and frowned, then why did this space divine object of yours come out by itself? I don't know. The madman shook his head. You can't do this. I am your master. You can't betray me, stop, otherwise, the rule force will destroy you. The blood-robed old man's expression became more and more ferocious as he roared again and again. Betray? Qin Feiyang and the madman looked at each other with a puzzled expression. What was this old man shouting about? Wait! Suddenly, Qin Feiyang and the madman looked at each other and the words rule force appeared in their minds at the same time. Immediately after, the two of them looked up at the sky. The Blood Demon Tower was a heaven-defying divine artifact. Now that such a huge commotion had occurred, wouldn't it attract the rule force? Clang! Just as Qin Feiyang and the madman were worried, accompanied by a loud sound, the space divine object of the madman actually took the initiative to rush toward the blood demon tower. Immediately after, a scene that made everyone dumbfounded appeared. The madman's space divine object actually landed directly at the top of the blood demon tower. As a bloody light appeared, the two actually fused together. At this moment, the blood demon tower that originally only had 9 floors turned into 10. Chapter 2695. A 10-story blood demon tower, could it be? This is the complete appearance of the blood demon tower. Qin Feiyang whispered. In other words, my divine spatial artifact is actually a part of the blood demon tower. Madman was stunned. It seems like that should be the case. That's strange. The blood demon tower is a sacred artifact of the blood demon race. Even if it was lost, it should be in hell. But why would it run to the ancient world and be obtained by you? Qin Feiyang frowned with a puzzled expression. You're asking me, but who should I ask? Madman rolled his eyes. After the blood demon tower fused, an even more terrifying aura erupted. This is the aura of a heaven-defying divine artifact. What's going on with the blood demon tower? It's actually releasing its aura. Is it provoking the power of laws? Madman's expression changed. Boom. The next moment, winds and clouds surged in the sky. The power of falling poured down like a waterfall, carrying with it an apocalyptic aura. Sure enough, it attracted the power of laws. Qin Feiyang and Madman's gazes trembled. Retreat! King Yu shouted. The group of people immediately retreated. However, after retreating a few steps, Madman stopped and his expression became extremely ugly. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang was bewildered. Madman looked at the power of laws descending from the sky and murmured, the aura of this power of laws is locked onto me. What? It's you. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Why was the aura locked onto Madman? Shouldn't it be the blood demon tower? Could it be, because of Madman's divine spatial artifact? Madman was the owner of the divine spatial artifact, so the power of laws was targeted at him. What should we do now? Wang Ming and Madman were burning with anxiety. Haha, this is the consequence of betraying me. All of you, go to hell. The old man in blood-red clothes retreated while laughing wildly, his eyes full of gloating. Qin Feiyang glanced at the old man in blood-red clothes, then at Wang Ming and Madman. You guys leave first. What about you guys? The two of them looked at Qin Feiyang and Madman. Rule force, Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and said, we'll be fine. Let's leave quickly. All right. Wang Ming and Yang Li took a deep look at Qin Feiyang and Yang Li, then turned around and fled as fast as lightning. Sometimes they really felt that this young lord was very foolish. But sometimes, he admired him. He clearly knew that there was danger, but for his friends and brothers, he was willing to risk everything. In today's world of intrigue, it was hard to find someone like him. Rumble. In the blink of an eye, the rule force had already landed in midair. Although I don't know what's going on, I'm sure that you have some sort of relationship with the blood demon tower. Quickly, it retracts its aura and enters a self-sealing state. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. Boom. Clang. Following closely. Look at you, you seem to have suffered a great loss. Frenzy rolled his eyes at Qin Feiyang and said, with this blood demon tower, I don't need any other divine items. Huh? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Why are you so stupid? What I mean is, I will give you the divine item in the iron box. Frenzy rolled his eyes. Really? Qin Feiyang said. Nonsense. Would I joke with you like this? Let's talk about it later. Isn't that iron box in your universe ring now? Frenzy was speechless. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Senior brother Frenzy is really generous. Stop flattering me." Frenzy stared at him and looked up at the sky, saying in a deep voice, "Hurry up and think of a way." The Blood Demon Tower had already entered a self-sealing state, but the rule force was still descending. This meant that it wouldn't stop until he was killed. Therefore, they had to solve it thoroughly. Otherwise, if the rule force continued to descend, they would be bombarded by the rule force. It was fine for a short period of time, but after a long period of time, even the two war souls might not be able to withstand it. "Yes, we have to solve it thoroughly." Qin Feiyang nodded and looked up at the two war souls. Could it work? Roar. Accompanied by an earth-shattering beast roar, the flaming beast shadow rushed out from the sword soul. Clang. Immediately after, the red sword soul carried the flaming beast shadow and blasted towards the sky. The power of laws instantly disintegrated and shattered like withered trees. From afar, the red sword soul was like a divine weapon that could destroy the world. The fire beast soul was like an ancient beast, its ferocious might shaking the heavens. Boom! In an instant, the sword soul and beast soul blasted into the sky, and a huge hole suddenly appeared in the sky. This was the rhythm of piercing through the sky. So terrifying. The blood-red clothed old man looked at this scene and couldn't help but tremble. Thinking back, even when he was at the peak of the undead stage, he couldn't shatter the rule force of hell. And this human, he was only at the initial 9 heavens realm, but he could actually crush the rule force. What kind of monster was he? Sigh. The Beast Emperor looked at the hole in the sky and then looked at Qin Feiyang with a hint of melancholy in his eyes. This young man had already risen. He could even predict the future of the ancient world. This man would definitely affect the entire ancient world. Perhaps, it was really a mistake to be enemies with this man. Roar. Clang. In the sky, the sword soul and beast soul were imposing, as if they were going to kill their way to the sky and find Ice Dragon. Swoosh. At this moment, a blurry figure walked out of the hole. Dragon God. King Yu's gaze trembled. The blood-red clothed old man was also shocked. But then, his eyes were filled with resentment. "Greetings, Lord Dragon God." Yi Zhong and the Beast Emperor immediately bowed. Wang Ming and Beast Soul looked at each other and lowered their heads, looking extremely respectful. Even Lunatic had a hint of respect between his brows. Only Qin Feiyang didn't have any respect. Wait a minute. There was also the young man. The young man looked at Ice Dragon with a hint of a smile in his eyes. "I'm sorry, I accidentally made some noise and startled you." Qin Feiyang looked at Ice Dragon and smiled faintly. Just as Qin Feiyang spoke, the 9-leaf fire lotus floating in the sky flew to Qin Feiyang's side with a whoosh. 9 fire lotus leaves fell off and turned into 9 fiery red shields, protecting Qin Feiyang and Lunatic inside. Accidentally. Ice Dragon's face darkened when he heard that, and he said angrily, "I think you did it on purpose." "How is that possible? If it wasn't for this bullshit rule force, why would I make such a big commotion?" Qin Feiyang said. "Bullshit rule force?" King Yu, Beast Emperor, and the others couldn't help but smile bitterly. Only Qin Feiyang would dare to say such contemptuous words. Ice Dragon was silent. His expression couldn't be seen, let alone know what he was thinking. "You came here personally but didn't say anything. It's not in line with your character," Qin Feiyang said. "I'll endure it." Ice Dragon let out a long breath and said in a deep voice, "You shouldn't have come to Fallen Valley, and you shouldn't have cared about the blood demon race." "Interesting. So you're allowed to slaughter them, but I'm not allowed to help them?" Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Ice Dragon raised his eyebrows and said, "I won't talk about these useless things with you. As long as you don't regret it." What does he mean? Lunatic was suspicious. How would I know? Qin Feiyang thought to himself. Why did it feel like Ice Dragon was implying something? That's all I have to say. You're on your own. With that, Ice Dragon disappeared without a trace. He left just like that. The group of people was stunned. They all thought that Ice Dragon would definitely be angry and even fight. However, throughout the entire process, he didn't get angry and didn't say much before leaving. What was going on? Qin Feiyang slapped his head and almost forgot about the important matter. Because of the young man, they didn't carefully search Fallen Valley later and went straight to the depths. Therefore, there were still many divine items that hadn't been discovered. King Yu waved his hand and the 10 commanders appeared. He shouted, "Search Fallen Valley immediately." Yes. The 10 of them replied respectfully before dispersing in all directions. Search with divine sense. Frenzy reminded. Divine sense. Qin Feiyang was stunned. It turns out that it's because of that evil force that erodes divine sense, so it can't be used. But now that the evil force has disappeared, divine sense can naturally come in handy. Frenzy smiled. That's good. Qin Feiyang smiled. Using divine sense to search was much more convenient and the efficiency was much higher than before. With the cultivation of the 10 commanders, it didn't take long to search the entire Fallen Valley. There's a discovery. This is the aura of a seal. Soon. Xue Da's excited voice came from afar. The aura of a seal. Qin Feiyang and Frenzy looked at each other. This must be a heaven-defying divine item. Suddenly. The two of them seemed to have thought of something and looked at the young man beside them at the same time. But unexpectedly. Hearing Xue Da's voice, the young man didn't react at all. And his whole person once again entered that listless and yawning state. Let's go. The young man said. The snow python that was lying on his shoulder immediately jumped down and its body expanded in the wind. In just a moment. A snow python that was hundreds of feet long appeared. The young man took a step forward and walked onto the snow python's back. Where are you going? Qin Feiyang asked. Just strolling around. After saying that, the young man lay on the snow python's back and closed his eyes to take a nap. The snow python also rose into the air and flew into the distance. The Nether King's hell will only open for 1,000 years. Remember to go to the God Fiend Square. Qin Feiyang hurriedly reminded him. We know. You be careful too. The young man of the Snow Python gang replied and disappeared into the sky without looking back. Looking at the back view of the Snow Python and the young man, King Yu asked suspiciously, Brother Qin, who exactly is he? I don't know. Qin Feiyang shook his head. You don't know? Qin Feiyang's answer surprised King Yu. Yes. But I know that he is an existence that can't be provoked. Qin Feiyang smiled. Hearing this, King Yu raised his head again and looked at the young man. He murmured, he is indeed very strong. So what if he is strong? The world is heartless. Even an existence like the ancestor can fall, let alone him. Sooner or later, he will become a speck of dust in this world. The blood-red clothed old man snorted. Ancestor, King Yu was stunned. He turned to look at the blood-red clothed old man and asked curiously, how strong is the ancestor? How did he fall? The blood-red clothed old man said, you are not qualified to know these things. King Yu couldn't help but frown. Qin Feiyang glanced at the blood-red clothed old man. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something and said inwardly, Senior Brother Frenzied, could the giant you saw twice be the Blood Demon tribe's progenitor? I don't know. Crazy shook his head. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and turned to look at the blood-red clothed old man. He said, have you entered the evil moon? The blood-red clothed old man said, you want to ask me if I know the origin of the blood bead in the evil moon? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Of course I know. But why should I tell you? Actually, I can tell you, but you have to return the blood demon tower to me. The blood-red-clothed old man sneered. Forget it if you don't want to say it. Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze and said, Senior brother Crazy, be careful. Maybe he hasn't given up on possessing you. Why should I be afraid of him? Didn't you see it in the blood demon tower? Even the blood demon tower is helping me. Not to mention that the blood demon tower is in my body now. He definitely doesn't have the guts. But then again, why would the blood demon tower help me? And why would they abandon this old thing and follow me? Crazy mumbled. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said, could it be that you are related to the ancestor of the blood demon tribe? How is that possible? Like you, this is my first time entering the Nether King's hell. Crazy was speechless. That's true. Qin Feiyang nodded, thought for a while, and said, then have you obtained any inheritance or something like that? Inheritance? Crazy thought for a while and shook his head. No. Qin Feiyang frowned and said, then where did you get that spatial divine item? It was given to me by the old senior who taught me the heaven-defying technique. Crazy transmitted his voice. Qin Feiyang said, then let's go find him. Find him? Crazy was taken aback. That's right. He taught you the heaven-defying technique and gave you this spatial divine item. He even told you that you must enter the Nether King's hell if you have the chance. What does this mean? It means that he definitely knows your relationship with the Nether King's hell. Qin Feiyang said. Makes sense. Crazy nodded, pondered for a moment, and said, when we return to the divine land, accompany me to the northern region. Let's go find him. He's in the northern region. Qin Feiyang was surprised. Yes. Madman nodded slightly. Chapter 2698. He's in the northern region, but he knows about hell. It seems that this person isn't simple. Qin Feiyang whispered. To be able to give me a divine art and a space divine object, he definitely isn't a simple person. It's just that I don't know much about him. As far as I can remember, I've only met him 3 times. The first time was when he gave me a space divine object. The second time was when he gave me a heaven-defying divine weapon. The third time was when he sent me off before I came to divine land. Madman said. I really want to meet this mysterious person now. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. Now. Madman was speechless. Let's not talk about this for now. How do we deal with Yi Zhong and Beast Emperor? Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered as he looked at Yi Zhong and Beast Emperor. He then walked over to Wang Ming's side. Yi Zhong immediately looked at Qin Feiyang and said, you've really put in a lot of effort to get close to me. Do you think I want to? To be honest, I was forced to go to the Dragon God's Hall. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Who forced you? Yi Zhong frowned. Who else could it be? My 2 ancestors. Qin Feiyang was helpless. Yi Zhong said, why did they want you to go to the Dragon God's Hall? Qin Feiyang said, someone as smart as you shouldn't have thought of it. I'm not in the mood to guess with you. Yi Zhong said in a deep voice. All right. First, the Divine Stone of Fate. Second, you. The 2 ancestors said that they had to drag you to the Dragon Slayer Hall no matter what. Qin Feiyang said. The Divine Stone of Fate. Yi Zhong's heart skipped a beat. This thing was extremely important. Once Qin Feiyang obtained the Divine Stone of Fate, it would be equivalent to controlling the fate of everyone in the Dragon God's Hall. This was to disintegrate the power of the dragons. Because the Dragon God's Hall was the most powerful force under the dragons. But drag him into the Dragon Slayer Hall. When Yi Zhong thought of this, he could not help but laugh. Do you think that's possible? Although we haven't known each other for a long time, I know your temper. It's impossible for you to enter the Dragon Slayer Hall willingly. Also, is a person's zzz. Qin Feiyang is, use, s, use tss, ssssssss yes, where I is here. Like Wang Ming and Yang Li, they are subordinates of Venerable Beast and Venerable Cloud. Qin Feiyang said. Qin, you think you have the qualifications to make this old man work for you? Yi Zhong said furiously. No. You're not the one serving me. I'm the one serving you. As long as you leave the dragons, you'll still be my most respected master. I won't force you to do anything. Qin Feiyang said. Who do you think you are? Do I need you to serve me? Yi Zhong shouted. Why do you have to do this? As I said before, dragons bring disaster to the world. Their deaths are not to be regretted. Why do you have to let your name go down in history for the sake of dragons? Even if you don't think for yourself, think for Yi Shui and the old man. They're under pressure too. Do you know why they live in seclusion deep in the mountains? Isn't it because they're afraid of being criticized behind their backs? Why can't you figure it out when even your brother can? Qin Feiyang sighed. My brother? Yi Zhong was stunned and said angrily, what did you do to Yi Qing? I didn't do anything to him. He's definitely living a good life now. Furthermore, I have also treated him like an elder. Qin Feiyang said. Where is he? Yi Zhong looked at Qin Feiyang gloomily. He's trying to break through to the imperishable stage in the castle. I also helped him open all the doors of potential. To be honest, I saved the old man because of Yi Qing. Qin Feiyang said. Yi Qing, you're stupid. Yi Zhong howled with grief. Wasn't being with Qin Feiyang the same as betraying the dragons? If this matter were to be known by the dragon race, his Yi family would definitely be met with a calamity. It's useless to shout now. Even if Yi Qing hears it, he won't be able to come out. We'll talk about it later. I think he's smart. The dragons are no longer the same as before. It's only a matter of time before they're destroyed. If you continue to follow the dragons, you'll only lose your reputation. Qin Feiyang said lightly. Not the same as before. Yi Zhong shook his head and smiled. Do you think the dragons will decline after you snatched their heaven-defying divine weapon? Let me tell you, it's impossible. Of course I'm not that naive. The dragons have the sovereign divine weapon and the terrifying existence of the dragon god. But you have to believe in one thing. Water can carry a boat, but it can also capsize it. Whether it's a family, a sect, or a world, if you want to rule for a long time, you must first win the hearts of the people. But the dragons don't have these 2 points. Not only that, but they've angered the people and gods, and complaints are everywhere. The dragons have lost the hearts of the people. No matter how deep their foundation is, there will be a day when they'll be defeated. Qin Feiyang said lightly. Stupid, laughable. Yi Zhong looked at Qin Feiyang, his face full of mockery. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, at least it's better than being spurned by others. That's right. Even if we die in battle, our names will go down in history and will be worshipped by the people. What about you? Even if you continue to live in this world, you'll only be a lowly, undignified, pitiful worm. Madman walked to Qin Feiyang's side and said. And who are you? Yi Zhong looked at Madman gloomily. Madman said proudly, I'm from the 9-Heaven Palace of the North region. 9-Heaven Palace? Yi Zhong raised his eyebrows and shouted, you're leading 9-Heaven Palace to destruction. Wrong. I'm leading 9-Heaven Palace to glory. This is also the wish of everyone in 9-Heaven's Palace. Let me tell you. The beings of the 4 regions hate dragons more than the beings of the divine land. Dragons are already rats on the street. Madman snorted. Yi Zhong looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "So, if this old man doesn't bow to you today, I won't be able to leave here alive." "You can't say that. Although the two ancestors said that if I can't convince you, I'll kill you, but to be honest, I really don't want to hurt you. I won't let you make a decision now. I'll give you some time to think about it." "You didn't hear wrong. You can leave now. I won't stop you," Qin Feiyang said. Yi Zhong couldn't help but frown. "Don't think of me as such a despicable person. I won't use Yi Qing to threaten you," Qin Feiyang said indifferently. Yi Zhong looked deeply at Qin Feiyang, then turned to the Beast Emperor and said, "Let's go." Hearing this, the Beast Emperor couldn't help but smile bitterly. "Why?" Yi Zhong looked at him suspiciously. "You don't understand." The Beast Emperor shook his head and sighed. Qin Feiyang also said, "You can leave, but he can't." "Why?" Yi Zhong raised his eyebrows. "Because he's one of the 4 sovereigns of the dragon-slaying palace, the Beast Emperor," Qin Feiyang said. "What?" Yi Zhong stared at the Beast Emperor in surprise. Looking at Yi Zhong's eyes, the Beast Emperor sighed deeply and nodded. "Yes, it's me." Yi Zhong couldn't believe it. This person who had been on good terms with him and had always been loyal to the Dragon Sovereign was actually a sovereign of the dragon-slaying palace. This was a nightmare for Yi Zhong. The Beast Emperor knew the dragons too well. He also finally understood why the dragon-slaying palace could avoid the dragon's pursuit. It turned out that the Beast Emperor was a spy. "Actually, you know Supreme Cloud too. She's the chief pavilion master of the treasure pavilion," Qin Feiyang said. "What?" Yi Zhong's eyes trembled. One lurked beside the dragon sovereign. One controlled at least half of the resources of the ancient world. And they were all leaders of the dragon-slaying palace. Terrifying, really terrifying. No wonder the dragon-slaying palace could develop so quickly. It turned out that they had the support of the treasure pavilion. The Beast Emperor looked at Yi Zhong, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Then, he looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "We can slowly resolve the grudge between us, but Yi Zhong must not leave." "Tell me your reason," Qin Feiyang said. "Tell him everything. When he goes back and reports to the Dragon Sovereign, won't the dragon-slaying palace face a disaster? Don't forget the principles of the dragon-slaying palace. No matter how we fight, we must not harm the overall interests of the dragon-slaying palace," the Beast Emperor said in a deep voice. "What you said does make sense. But he left his divine soul outside. It's useless even if we kill him now," Qin Feiyang said. "Let's join forces to defeat him and forcibly control him. This is the only way to solve the problem now," the Beast Emperor said. "I'm sorry, but I never like to force others. We'll talk about it later. My master is also a smart person. He knows what to say and what not to say," Qin Feiyang said with a smile. The Beast Emperor frowned. Qin Feiyang looked at Yi Zhong and said, "Let's go and think about it. I'll wait for your news." Phew! Yi Zhong took a deep breath, turned into a stream of light, and tore through the sky at lightning speed. "Why are you so self-righteous? Do you know how loyal Yi Zhong is to the dragons? You're letting him go with such a good opportunity," the Beast Emperor roared. "He's indeed a loyal person, but he's also a person who cares about his family. Yi Qing being by my side is his biggest concern. Because once this matter is exposed, Long Zun will definitely not let Yi Qing off. He might even vent his anger on Yi Shui, the old man, and Yi Zhong himself. Do you think Yi Zhong will let this happen?" Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. The Beast Emperor felt that it made sense. He frowned and said, "Aren't you afraid of what if?" "There's no what if. Unless he gambles with the lives of his family on whether Long Zun will be angry or not. But the stakes are too high. I believe that he won't dare to do that. Qin Feiyang shook his head. The Beast Emperor snorted. Then I hope it's really as you think. Let's talk about Yi Zhong later. Let's talk about the problem between us first. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. When the Beast Emperor heard this, he immediately became nervous. Chapter 2699. As for Yi Zhong's matter, Qin Feiyang already had a plan. Once he left hell, he could carry it out, so it didn't matter if he let Yi Zhong leave. But the Beast Emperor must be dealt with in hell. I will only give you two choices. First, submit to me. Second, die in hell. Qin Feiyang looked at the Beast Emperor and said. Is there a third choice? The Beast Emperor's face sank as he asked. No. Qin Feiyang shook his head. His decisive tone left no room for negotiation. You have to think carefully, because you are different from Yi Zhong and the others. Yi Zhong and the others can be reborn if they die here. But you, if you die here, it is equivalent to a complete death. At that time, everything you have will become history. Madman said. I shouldn't have followed you. The Beast Emperor's face was full of regret. You can only blame yourself for being too greedy and wanting a heaven-defying treasure. But no matter what, we won't give you a chance to escape. Because even if you escape from Fallen Valley, we will continue to wait for you in the Demon God Square. Unless you don't plan to return to Divine Land. In fact, your biggest mistake is coming to hell. Because once you come to hell, you are like a turtle in a jar. No matter how hard you try, you can't escape from our hands. And if you can endure and not come to hell, then we really can't do anything to you. Madman's face was full of ridicule. Hearing this, the Beast Emperor clenched his hands tightly, and his heart was extremely angry. He originally thought that with the power of the dragons, he would definitely be able to smoothly get rid of Qin Feiyang. Taking a step back. Even if the dragons couldn't get rid of Qin Feiyang, the blood demons and beasts in hell were enough to take Qin Feiyang's life. In other words, for him, there was no risk. However, he never expected that Qin Feiyang would actually be recognized by the blood demons and call them brothers. The most terrifying thing was, he even broke through to the Nine Heavens realm so quickly. Qin Feiyang was very strong to begin with, and there was also the blood demon race, which was even more terrifying than Qin Feiyang. In the end, it was him and the dragons who became Qin Feiyang's targets. How comical. Thinking back to the beginning, they had deliberately set up this trap and made it known to the public that hell was the king of hell. They wanted to use this opportunity to get rid of Qin Feiyang. But on the other hand, wasn't Qin Feiyang also waiting for this opportunity to get rid of them? This contest, whether it was him and the chief pavilion master, or Yi Zhong and the dragons, they had all lost completely. Hurry up and decide. Qin Feiyang said. The Beast Emperor raised his head and looked at Qin Feiyang, his eyes filled with sorrow. In any case, he was a big shot of the ancient world. Now, he was actually forced to such an extent by a junior. Willing? He was definitely unwilling to accept it. If such a big shot like him were to submit to a junior, how would he have any face left in the future? I know it's hard for you to swallow your pride, but there's only one path in front of you. You don't have a choice. Don't think so highly of your pride. What you care about might be worthless in the eyes of others. Wang Ming sneered. Shut up. Even if I'm in my current state, I'm still not someone like you can compare to. The Beast Emperor shouted angrily. Someone like me? A hint of viciousness instantly crept onto Wang Ming's face. It was one thing for the Beast Emperor to be arrogant in front of him before, but now that he was a prisoner, he actually dared to be arrogant. Boom! A terrifying murderous aura roared out of Wang Ming's body. I also want to know, what kind of person was I in your eyes before? Yang Li also stared coldly at the Beast Emperor. The best way to deal with stubborn people is to kill them directly. Ghost King also spoke at this moment. He took a step forward and landed next to Qin Feiyang, his murderous aura billowing out. The Beast Emperor shuddered. He looked at Wang Ming, then at Yang Li, then at King of Ghosts, then at the madman Qin Feiyang. Wang Ming, Yang Li, Ghost King aside, even the madman Qin Feiyang were probably enough to make him die a tragic death. He also knew a thing or two about Qin Feiyang's character. If he didn't submit, he definitely wouldn't show any mercy. Was there really no other way? Who could help him? But the predicament he was currently in was that he couldn't cry for help. The Beast Emperor clenched his hands and looked at the murderous intent that gradually emerged on Qin Feiyang's face. In the end, he slowly lowered his head and sighed, "I submit." Qin Feiyang smiled. The madman also smiled. Although the Beast Emperor had been severely injured, he was still one of their greatest threats. Now that the Beast Emperor had submitted, this threat was naturally gone. On the contrary, in the future, he would become a threat to the dragons. Qin Feiyang said, "Then come out of this person's body." The Beast Emperor sighed. A fiery red divine light shot out from the top of his head. It was a fire qilin. This was the Beast Emperor's soul. Qin Feiyang formed a seal with both hands, and an enslavement seal appeared. "Don't resist." Swish. With that, the enslavement seal swept toward the soul. Wang Ming, Yang Li, and Ghost King were all watching covetously from the side. How would the Beast Emperor dare resist? Very quickly, the enslavement seal controlled the Beast Emperor's soul. "From now on, call me young master." Qin Feiyang looked at the Beast Emperor as he spoke, then looked at Wang Ming and the madman. "And the two of you, don't call me young master either." The three of them looked at him suspiciously. "Because now, you are my subordinates. Your loyalty is to me, not to the Dragon Slayer Palace." Qin Feiyang said. "Understood." Wang Ming and the madman nodded. Qin Feiyang looked at the Beast Emperor again. The Beast Emperor sighed helplessly and nodded. "Got it." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and turned to Ghost King. "Senior Ghost King, the Beast Emperor needs to reconstruct his body and soul. Can you let him go to the second level?" "Of course." Ghost King nodded. "Thank you." Qin Feiyang smiled gratefully and looked at the Beast Emperor. "The time array on the second level is 500 years per day. Cherish this opportunity." "Yes." The Beast Emperor nodded, looking a little down. "Don't look so reluctant. You'll benefit a lot if you follow me." Qin Feiyang glanced at the Beast Emperor indifferently, then nodded at Ghost King. With a wave of his hand, the Beast Emperor disappeared from the ancient city. "Young master, what about us? Yang Li and I followed you before Beast Venerable. You can't forget about us just because his cultivation is stronger than ours." Wang Ming and Yang Li looked at Qin Feiyang fawningly. Qin Feiyang laughed and said, "Don't worry. You won't be left behind." "Thank you, young master." The two of them bowed and thanked him. After all, Qin Feiyang possessed 10 heaven-defying divine artifacts such as the divine bow of the setting sun. He definitely wouldn't be able to use so many godly weapons by himself. What should they do then? Of course, they had to share them with his subordinates. For experts at their level, nothing in the world could catch their eyes, except for heaven-defying artifacts and heaven-defying techniques. Otherwise, they wouldn't have taken such a huge risk to come to hell. They just wanted to try their luck. Now that they followed Qin Feiyang, they would definitely have a chance to obtain a godly weapon in the future. At the thought of having a godly weapon of their own in the future, they couldn't help but feel excited. King Yu looked at Yang Li and Yang Li, then at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, "Brother Qin, with the help of the Beast Emperor and Yang Li, you should have a better chance of defeating the dragons when you return to China." "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded and said, but we can't let our guard down. After all, the dragons still have the terrifying dragon god and a sovereign divine weapon. Sovereign divine weapon. The old man in blood-red clothes was shocked. King Yu looked at Qin Feiyang curiously and asked, have you seen that sovereign divine weapon? No. But I have fought with it from a distance. Qin Feiyang said. How powerful is it? King Yu asked. Very powerful. Take the godly weapon for example. It couldn't resist at all. Qin Feiyang said in a low voice. So powerful? King Yu was shocked. I remember back then, I had more than a dozen godly weapons, but they couldn't even block a single sword light from the sovereign divine weapon. Qin Feiyang shook his head. The sovereign divine weapon is comparable to the sovereign divine weapon. Of course, the godly weapons can't be its match. The old man in blood-red clothes sneered. Qin Feiyang glanced at the old man and said, you know quite a lot. Of course. Back then, this old man was at least a peak undead realm expert. The old man in blood-red clothes smiled proudly. A real man doesn't boast about his past achievements. Haven't you heard of that? Besides, you're so powerful, but you still lost to the dragon god. Madman suddenly said with disdain. You, the old man in blood-red clothes' expression froze, then he glared at Madman in anger. What? You want to possess me? You should just give up. Now, not only do you have the soul-anchoring divine pearl, but you also have the blood demon tower. Even if I stand here and let you possess me, you can't do it. Madman said with disdain. The old man in blood-red clothes was furious. Qin Feiyang said telepathically, give Senior King Yu some face and stop talking. If it wasn't for King Yu, I would have used the blood demon tower to beat him up. He's only left with his divine soul, and he's still so arrogant. Madman thought to himself. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. He looked at the old man in blood-red clothes and said, now that the power of Fallen Valley has disappeared, can you leave? The old man in blood-red clothes was stunned. That's right. Since the power that shrouded Fallen Valley had disappeared, then he could leave Fallen Valley too, right? If Qin Feiyang hadn't reminded him, he wouldn't have realized it. Whoosh! After coming back to his senses, the old man in blood-red clothes turned into a stream of light and flew out of Fallen Valley. King Yu looked at his father's back and then at Qin Feiyang and Madman. He smiled and said, thank you. This was because he knew that Qin Feiyang and Madman were giving him face and didn't argue with his father. Why are you thanking me when we're friends? Besides, if it wasn't for Senior's help, how could we have broken through to the initial stage so quickly? Qin Feiyang said with a smile. If you really want to thank us, then just give us the ancient city of King Yu. Madman grinned. Ah! Qin Feiyang was stunned. The Ghost King also looked at the madman with a stunned expression. Chapter 2700. What's with such a big reaction? I'm just joking. Frenzy looked at the two of them speechlessly. King Yu shook his head and smiled. King Yu ancient city is the capital of my blood demon race. It's very important to my blood demon race. It's impossible for this king to give it to anyone, but, speaking of this. King Yu fell silent as he lowered his head and fell into deep thought. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang and Frenzy looked at him suspiciously. King Yu waved his hand and a sealed iron box appeared. He smiled and said, I can give this to you. This is, Frenzy's eyes lit up. Because this iron box was the one he saw on the second floor of the palace. At that time, White-Eyed Wolf wanted it very much. Because King Yu had personally said that there was a heaven-defying artifact inside. Yi Zhong and the various ancestral dragons had paid a huge price to snatch this iron box. But now, King Yu was going to give it to them for free. If the various ancestral dragons knew about this, wouldn't they vomit blood from anger? Anyway, this thing is useless in hell, so I might as well give it to you. When the time comes to fight with the dragons, it can also help you. King Yu smiled. A heaven-defying artifact was like a worthless toy, casually giving it away. Qin Feiyang and Frenzy didn't stand on ceremony. They took the iron box and thanked him before keeping it. If they wanted to defeat the dragons, they indeed needed to strengthen their own strength. And a heaven-defying artifact was undoubtedly the fastest and most efficient way. As for the time array, King Yu pondered for a while and turned to look into the distance. Seeing that the blood-red clothed old man hadn't returned yet, he said in a low voice, "Actually, the Blood Demon Tower also has a time array." Qin Feiyang was surprised. Frenzy nodded and said, "The Blood Demon Tower does have a time array." "How do you know?" Qin Feiyang looked at him suspiciously. "Nonsense. The 10th floor of the Blood Demon Tower was in my hands before." "Of course I know. It's just that in the past, this time array only lasted for a day to half a year." Frenzy said. 1 day and half a year. Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback. He shook his head and said, "It's really nothing. That's because the 10th floor of the Blood Demon Tower has been separated, and the effect has been greatly reduced. According to this king's knowledge, the time array of the Blood Demon Tower in its complete state is 2,000 years per day." Yu Wang said. "What the hell? 2,000 years in 1 day?" Qin Feiyang and Qin Haodong were dumbfounded. It was actually 4 times faster than the ancient city's time array. If he cultivated in the Blood Demon Tower in the future, wouldn't he be able to break through a small realm in 2 or 3 months? Qin Feiyang turned to look at Madman and said with a smile, "Senior brother Madman, please take care of me in the past. If you're envious, just say it. Don't hide it." Madman grimaced. This was truly an unexpected surprise. "Don't be happy too early. The Blood Demon race isn't in its complete state yet." King Yu looked at Madman and said. "Incomplete?" Madman looked at King Yu in a daze. Qin Feiyang also had a look of surprise. Didn't the 10th level already fuse with the Blood Demon Tower? Why wasn't it complete? There are some things that this king can't say. You guys need to slowly discover them yourself. King Yu said mysteriously. "Aren't you keeping us in suspense? Just tell us directly." Madman said. King Yu shook his head and said, "Although it's incomplete, the time array of the current Blood Demon race should also be 500 years per day. The difference is so big." Madman was stunned. "And because we still need 2 more things to complete the Blood Demon Tower." King Yu nodded. "Can't I beg you? Tell me, what are we missing? Where are these 2 things now? I'll go and snatch them now." Madman's current mood was like ants on a hot pan. It was very uncomfortable. 2,000 years per day, 500 years per day, the difference between the two was simply too big. Moreover, no matter who it was, they would definitely choose the time array that was 2,000 years per day. This, King Yu hesitated for a moment and said in a low voice, "I can't say much. I can only tell you that it's far away but also right in front of you." "What the hell?" Madman was stunned. "Far away but also right in front of you? You must be kidding me." Qin Feiyang was also quite surprised by King Yu's answer. Far away. The horizon was endless. Who knew what was there? Right in front of you. This sentence was even more incomprehensible. Because there was only Madman, King Yu, and himself in front of him. King Yu's act of keeping them in suspense was really unfathomable. Madman also gave up. King Yu clearly did not want to say. It was useless to force him. Whoosh! Soon. The blood-red old man returned. "Father, how is it?" King Yu looked at the blood-red old man and asked nervously. I can leave the fallen valley. The blood-red old man nodded and said excitedly, I'm finally free. Hearing this, King Yu was also wild with joy. Don't be happy too early. Be careful. When the dragon god descends one day, he will suppress you again. Madman suddenly poured a bucket of cold water on him. You, the blood-red old man glared at Madman. Was this what they meant by, nothing good comes out of a dog's mouth? Humph. Madman snorted coldly. Actually, he could not be blamed for being petty. He had been possessed twice consecutively. No one would be able to take this lying down. It was already merciful that he did not kill the blood-red old man. Father, brother Madman, we're all friends. Don't say too much. Don't hurt our friendship. King Yu looked at the two of them helplessly. Friends? Is he worthy? The blood-red old man sneered. I'm not worthy, but I don't care to be friends with you. Madman also had a look of disdain. Who are you calling an old thing? The blood-red old man gnashed his teeth. You. So what? Madman had a provocative look on his face. The blood-red old man stared at Madman gloomily. It was as if he could not wait to skin Madman alive. Lousy likes to see your angry yet helpless look. The corners of Madman's lips curled up. Fine, fine, fine. This old man admits defeat. But don't be complacent too early. The battle between you and the dragons will erupt sooner or later. I hope you can still be as arrogant as you are now. The blood-red old man sneered coldly. You don't have to worry about that. You'd better think about how to deal with the dragon god's next suppression. This time, it's because of us that you can regain your freedom. What about next time? Let's see who can help you. Madman said indifferently. The blood-red old man said angrily, don't flatter yourself. What does it have to do with you? Brother, look. Ungrateful, burning the bridge after crossing the river, that's exactly what people like him are like. Madman looked at Qin Feiyang and said. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. King Yu also had a helpless expression. It was all in the past. What was there to fuss about? It was the same for both the old and the young. There was no end to it. Headache. King Yu said, Brother Qin, why don't we go look for it too? Look for what? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Of course it's to look for treasures. King Yu dragged Qin Feiyang and left, leaving Madman and the blood-red old man staring at each other. Senior King Yu, aren't you afraid that they will fight if we leave just like that? Qin Feiyang looked at King Yu in a daze. That's why I'm giving them the chance to fight to their heart's content and vent their frustrations. King Yu shook his head. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh. Junior King Yu, I remember you said that there were no rules in the Nether King Hell in the past. Yes. It's the rules and restrictions set by the dragon god after my father was suppressed. All the creatures in the Nether King Hell can't break through to the imperishable realm. King Yu nodded. Then, did you have a mark on your body in the past? Could you summon the power of the evil sun and evil moon? Qin Feiyang asked. We blood demons have always had a mark, and it's innate. With the mark, we can naturally summon the power of the evil sun and evil moon. But the beasts in the Nether King Hell didn't have a mark on them in the past. King Yu said. That's strange. The mark of the blood demons is completely different from the mark of the beasts. You were born with the mark. The mark of the beasts appeared because of the rules and restrictions. In the end, you should have a mark that's exactly the same as the beasts. Because of this, your cultivation base can be limited. Qin Feiyang frowned. I'm not sure about that. Anyway, since the rules and restrictions appeared, none of us blood demons can step into the imperishable realm. For example, I've been trapped in the peak 9 heavens realm for 50,000 to 60,000 years. If I could break through, I would have broken through with the help of the time array, King Yu said. King Yu said. That's true. Qin Feiyang nodded. 50,000 to 60,000 years, plus the time array of 500 years per day, that would be 10 billion years. 10 billion years, even a person with average aptitude could break through to the imperishable realm as long as he had such a long lifespan. I've already given up. King Yu waved his hand. Give up, Qin Feiyang muttered. If it were him, he would probably give up too. After all, anyone would feel despair in the face of such a curse. After pondering for a while, Qin Feiyang stopped in his tracks, looked at King Yu, and said, Senior, to tell you the truth, I'm very concerned about something. What is it? King Yu turned his head and looked at him suspiciously. Do you still remember what the dragon god said to me not long ago? He said that I shouldn't interfere in the matters of the blood demons. He also said that I shouldn't regret it in the future and that I should take care of myself. What did he mean by that? Qin Feiyang frowned. He had a feeling that the dragon god was hinting at something. King Yu recalled carefully. The dragon god did seem to have said these words. But he didn't understand. Regarding this, I'm afraid you can only ask the dragon god. But don't worry, I will never harm you. If you don't believe me, I can even swear on my life. King Yu said. No need, no need. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hands and said with a smile, I still believe in Senior King Yu's character, but, at this point, Qin Feiyang paused, looking a little hesitant. King Yu sized up Qin Feiyang for a while and asked, Are you talking about my father? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded, looked up at King Yu, and said, Senior, don't be angry. To be honest, I don't really trust your father. Chapter 2701. Indeed. King Yu's heart skipped a beat. He knew that his father's actions had already caused Qin Feiyang's disgust. King Yu took a deep breath and nodded. That's understandable. Thank you. Qin Feiyang said. King Yu continued, frankly speaking, even I am not used to it. Qin Feiyang was surprised. Father used to be kind and reasonable, but why has he become so unreasonable now? I really don't know what he went through during the battle with the dragon god that made him become like this. King Yu sighed. Kind and reasonable. Reasonable. Qin Feiyang was stunned. These words seemed to have nothing to do with the blood-red old man. Little scoundrel, you're really asking for a beating. Do you think I'm afraid of you? At this moment, two angry roars could be heard. Immediately after, a wave of battle energy could be felt. Qin Feiyang and King Yu looked up and smiled bitterly. Sure enough, the old man and the young man were still fighting. Perhaps it's because he's been suppressed for so many years that his personality has changed greatly. Qin Feiyang mumbled and looked at King Yu. There's another question. King Yu was suspicious. When we were in the valley, your father said that we won't be able to kill all the blood puppets in Fallen Valley even if we were given 1,000 years. I'm thinking, is he exaggerating or is this true? Qin Feiyang frowned. Is this very important? King Yu asked. I'm thinking, if we can't kill all of them in 1,000 years, then there must be so many blood puppets that the entire Fallen Valley can't contain them. It's fine if he's exaggerating. But if it's true, then where are these blood puppets? Why are there so many blood puppets? Senior, you should know that Fallen Valley is the biggest forbidden area in the Hell of the Nether King. People like you from the blood demon race won't enter. The ferocious beasts in the Hell of the Nether King must be the same. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be so many blood puppets. Qin Feiyang said. How about this? When I have time, I'll ask my father and then tell you. Yu Wang said. All right. Qin Feiyang nodded. Then let's go. Who knows, we might be lucky and obtain quite a few heaven-defying divine objects this time. Yu Wang said with a smile. Actually, I'm already very satisfied, but if there's more, that would be even better. Qin Feiyang smiled. Including the metal box that King Yu had given him, he now had 3 sealed metal boxes on him. In other words, 3 heaven-defying divine artifacts. Including the Blood Demon Tower, this trip to the Nether King's Hell with the madman was equivalent to obtaining 4 heaven-defying divine artifacts. Even the dragons had never had such a harvest before. After all, the Sunset Godly Bow was one of the 10 great godly artifacts that the dragons had obtained after entering it several times. The most important thing was, he had also subdued Beast Emperor, Wang Ming, and Yang Li. 1 emperor and 2 divine emperors, what could be more valuable than this? Furthermore, he had also drawn up a plan to deal with Yi Zhong. So, even if they left the Nether King's Hell now, they would still be returning home with a full harvest. Time flew by. In the evening. After an entire day of searching, the entire Fallen Valley was almost turned upside down. Qin Feiyang and Yu Wang had also gained a lot. More than 100 supreme-level divine artifacts. More than 80 supreme-level divine arts. There were about 5,000 to 6,000 legendary and peak divine arts and divine artifacts in total. Although they didn't find any heaven-defying divine objects, these divine arts and divine artifacts would definitely cause a bloodbath in the divine prefecture. After all, even in the divine prefecture, supreme-level divine arts and divine artifacts were rare. Boom! Crack! When Qin Feiyang, Yu Wang, and the 10 great commanders returned to the central area of the Fallen Valley, where the Blood Demon Tower was originally located, they found that the madman and the blood-red clothed old man were still fighting. The madman was already in a sorry state with bruises all over his face. Although the blood-red clothed old man was in soul form and didn't have any physical injuries, his soul body was much weaker than before. Obviously, he didn't gain any advantage either. Of course, this was also thanks to the restrictions of the Nether King's Hell. If there weren't any restrictions, the blood-red clothed old man's divine sense would be enough to kill the madman with his perfected imperishable realm cultivation. Little bastard, today we will fight to the death. I'll accompany you to the end. Even when Qin Feiyang and the others returned, the two didn't seem to have any intention of stopping. Lord Yu Wang, what should we do? The 10 great commanders looked at the two in a daze. Don't worry about them, let them fight to their heart's content. Yu Wang waved his hand, a little annoyed. The 10 great commanders looked at each other helplessly. The blood-red clothed old man was Yu Wang's father and the leader of the previous generation of blood demons, so they naturally didn't dare to reprimand him. As for the madman, after being together for so long, they knew him very well. If they went to persuade him, they might be beaten up instead. So, it was better not to meddle in other people's business. How's the harvest? Yu Wang looked at the 10 great commanders and asked. To be honest, this is the first time we've seen so many divine objects. With that, the 10 great commanders took out the divine objects they had plundered for the entire day. Right away. Divine artifacts and jade slips were piled up in front of Qin Feiyang and Yu Wang like a small mountain. So many. Even Yu Wang couldn't help but be dumbfounded at this moment. There were at least 30,000 to 40,000 divine artifacts and jade slips. Among them, the most eye-catching ones were the 3 iron boxes. Among the 3 iron boxes, 2 of them were more than a meter long and 1 foot wide, completely black. The other iron box was only the size of an adult's palm. And these 3 iron boxes all had the aura of a seal. Obviously, these were 2 heaven-defying divine artifacts and a heaven-defying divine art. There are 3 more. Qin Feiyang stared at the 3 iron boxes, clenching his fists, the excitement in his heart was indescribable. Yu Wang smiled and said, Brother Qin, these are all yours. What? Qin Feiyang was stunned. The 10 great commanders also looked at Yu Wang in shock. In fact, they had already expected that Yu Wang would definitely give some to Qin Feiyang, but they didn't expect that he would give all of them to Qin Feiyang. Are you stupid? At this moment, the blood-red old man roared, threw Madman aside, and flew over, shouting, giving all of them to him. How generous are you? I've never seen such a wastrel like you. It's none of your business. The current blood demon race is ruled by the Ghost King. Why are you interrupting, old thing? Get lost as far as you can. Madman also flew over. The blood-red old man said angrily, Get lost, I'm not in the mood to mess with you now. I'm not in the mood to mess with you either. Madman touched his red and swollen nose, grimacing in pain. Father, our blood demon tribe doesn't lack supreme and legendary divine arts and divine artifacts. And heaven-defying divine artifacts are even more useless. So there's no point in us keeping these things. Why don't we give them to Brother Qin and the others? When the time comes to deal with the dragons, our chances of winning will be higher. Yu Wang said patiently. No. Even if we keep them as firewood, we can't let outsiders have them. The blood-red old man shook his head, his attitude very firm. Old patriarch, your thoughts are like standing in a latrine pit, Madman grumbled. Shut up, who are you to speak? The blood-red old man immediately frowned. Madman shrunk his neck and didn't dare to speak anymore. Yu Wang said, Father, what if I insist on giving them to Brother Qin and the others? Then we'll sever our relationship as father and son. The blood-red old man shouted. Okay. Yu Wang was instantly enraged. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, You don't have to be polite, take them all. This, Qin Feiyang was a little hesitant. He couldn't really watch them sever their relationship as father and son, right? It's fine. Right now, I'm in charge of the blood demon tribe. Yu Wang said. You want to rebel? The blood-red old man was furious. Yes. Yes, I want to rebel. Do you still remember the situation when you were possessed by lunatic in the blood demon tower? At that time, I said that if you wanted to possess him, I would self-destruct in front of you. But how did you answer me? If you want to self-destruct, then so be it. I'll pretend that I don't have a son like you. Do you know how sad this sentence made me? And now, you actually said that you want to sever our relationship as father and son. Is this something you, as a father, should say? I'm no longer that child. I'm the current patriarch of the blood demon tribe. I have a temper too. Even if it's you, you still have to listen to me, the clan chief. Besides, why do you think I'm doing this? It's all for you. You possessed lunatic twice and almost shattered Brother Qin's divine soul. If it weren't for me, do you think lunatic and Brother Qin would let you go? I'm thanking them for not killing you. Do you understand? Yu Wang said angrily. These words could be said to be true disobedience. However, the blood-red old man fell silent unexpectedly. Looking at Yu Wang, his eyes seemed to have changed. Do as you wish. After a long time, the blood-red old man shook his head and sighed. He seemed to be exhausted. Yes. From the time they met until now, he had still treated Yu Wang as a child. It was natural for a child to listen to his father. But when he heard the Ghost King's words, he was suddenly enlightened. This child had grown up. And he was already the new leader of the blood demon tribe. Now, he had his own opinions and an inviolable dignity. Times were changing. People would also change with it. For the current blood demon tribe, he, the former leader, no longer had much to do with it. Brother Qin, accept it. If you don't, I'll really fall out with you. Yu Wang said with a straight face. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. He bowed and said, Thank you, senior. To be honest, he really wanted these deity techniques and deity artifacts. Because these deity artifacts could not only strengthen the people around him, such as Zhao Tailai, Willow Tree, Yu Wang, and other beasts, but they could also raise the overall strength of the Black Tortoise world by a few levels. After Qin Feiyang kept all the deity artifacts, the madman smiled proudly. He looked at the blood-red old man and comforted him, "Old thing, it's the world of the young now. Why are you, an old man, so worried? You should just enjoy your old age." "What do you mean? Are you cursing me?" The blood-red old man glared. "Curse? You can't randomly draw hatred for me. What if the Ghost King believes me and thinks that I'm cursing you? What if he wants my life? I'm doing this for your own good. It wasn't easy for you to regain your freedom. Don't mess around." The madman said. "Thank you for your concern." The blood-red old man gritted his teeth. "No need to thank me. As a junior, it's natural for me to care about a senior like you." The madman chuckled. The blood-red old man's mouth twitched. Looking at the madman's proud face, he really wanted to slap him. Chapter 2702. Seeing that the two of them were about to fight again, Qin Feiyang quickly coughed and looked at King Yu. Senior King Yu, since the matter is over, let's go back." Okay. King Yu also understood what Qin Feiyang meant. He glanced at Fallen Valley and shouted, "Let's go." Whoosh! At that moment, the group rose into the sky and disappeared into the horizon at lightning speed. Seeing this, Frenzy and the blood-red clothed old man snorted at each other at the same time. They also rose into the sky and chased after the group. The return journey was very smooth. After all, with King Yu and the 10 commanders around, who would dare to block the way? "King Yu, Commander, Brother Qin, you're back." When Qin Feiyang and the group landed on the plains, the blood boat and unicorn sitting cross-legged on the plains immediately got up to welcome them. "Yes." King Yu nodded and took out the ancient city. As King Yu waved his hand, the ancient city immediately expanded and landed on the ground with a bang. "Blood boat, did anything happen here during this period of time?" Shweta asked. "No. Many humans came here but they immediately fled when they saw me and the unicorn." Blood boat said. King Yu asked, "What about the clansmen who went to collect the blood?" Blood boat smiled and said, "They definitely won't be back so soon." "Yes." King Yu nodded. "Yes." Suddenly, Blood boat noticed the blood-red clothed old man and there was a trace of surprise in his eyes. "It seems that even after so many years, many clansmen still remember me." The blood-red clothed old man said proudly. "You are," Blood boat was extremely surprised. "Was this an illusion?" Shweta coughed dryly and said, "He's our old clan leader." "It's really the old clan leader." Blood boat trembled and immediately knelt in the void, saying respectfully, "Greetings, old clan leader." "Get up." The blood-red clothed old man raised his hand. Blood boat rose and said in surprise, "King Yu, what's going on? Didn't the old clan leader already?" "It's a long story. You can ask the clansmen later." King Yu said. "Yes." Blood boat nodded. "Brother Qin, let's go." King Yu smiled. The group of people entered the ancient city and flew straight towards the palace. The ancient city of King Yu was still the same as before. There were no changes. Inside the palace. "Father, go to the second level to reconstruct your body," King Yu said as he looked at the blood-red clothed old man. He was afraid that Madman and his father would fight again. Now was not the same as in Fallen Valley. In the Fallen Valley, the ancient city of the Ghost King was first in the hands of Qin Feiyang and then in the hands of the Ghost King. Hence, no matter how the two of them fought, they would not implicate the people in the ancient city. But now, the ancient city of King Yu was located here. If they were to fight again, the people in the city would definitely be implicated. As the patriarch of the blood demon race, he would not allow such a thing to happen. "There's no hurry. I haven't been back for a long time. This old man will go for a stroll in the city first. Then, he turned around and walked out of the hall. Who? King Yu exhaled. As long as Madman wasn't with his father, everything was fine. Following closely. King Yu then looked at the 10 commanders, and smilingly said, "You all should also go and have a good rest." "All right." The 10 commanders nodded and turned to walk out of the hall one after another. In this way, only Qin Feiyang, Madman, Wang Ming, Yang Li, and King Yu were left in the hall. "Brother Qin, Brother Madman, the matter in Fallen Valley has been settled. You have also obtained many legendary items. There should be nothing else now, right?" King Yu asked with a smile. Qin Feiyang and Madman looked at each other and smiled. "I don't think so. Then, you all will stay in the ancient city of the Ghost King to cultivate. When the Hell of the Ghost King closes, head directly to the God Fiend Square." King Yu said. "All right." Qin Feiyang nodded. He could take the opportunity to break through to the 9 Heavens' Great Perfection realm. Wait. Madman suddenly thought of something and looked at King Yu. "Before coming to the Hell of the Ghost King, I heard from the dragons that there seems to be an inheritance of the power of laws here." "An inheritance of the power of laws?" King Yu was stunned. "Yes. This is the news released by the dragons. I believe that many hidden experts came to the Hell of the Ghost King because of this news." Madman said. King Yu said, "I know a little about the inheritance of the power of laws." "Really?" Madman was surprised. Qin Feiyang was also tempted. Needless to say, Wang Ming and Madman. They had always yearned for the power of laws. It's not an inheritance either. To be precise, it's a test. King Yu said. "A test?" The 4 of them looked at each other, their eyes full of doubts. "Yes. But this test is very scary. If you fail, you will die. But if you succeed and have good comprehension, you will be able to comprehend the power of laws immediately. If your comprehension is poor, as long as you pass the test, there is a certain chance that you will be able to comprehend the power of laws in the future." Big Shui also comprehended the law of massacre through this test. King Yu said. Wang Ming frowned. "In other words, this test can only succeed and not fail." "That's right. Once you fail, even the gods won't be able to save you." King Yu nodded. Yang Li said, "Isn't this equivalent to gambling with one's life?" "It is gambling with one's life to begin with. After all, the power of laws is an existence that surpasses all other powers. Every living being wants to possess it. But how many living beings have comprehended the power of laws? So, if you want to obtain the power of laws, you have to take risks. There's no such thing as a free lunch in this world, right?" King Yu smiled faintly. "That's true." Wang Ming and Yang Li nodded. Qin Feiyang asked, "Where is this place then?" "The Forest of Gods and Demons." King Yu said. "The Forest of Gods and Demons?" Qin Feiyang and the other 3 were stunned. "Wasn't this where the exit to hell was?" "You must be surprised." King Yu said with a smile. The 4 of them nodded. It was not a surprise, but rather a surprise. The Forest of Gods and Demons has a long history. It is said that the Forest of Gods and Demons has always existed since the creation of hell. Furthermore, just like its name, the Forest of Gods and Demons is a place filled with danger. You can say that. The Forest of Gods and Demons is countless times more dangerous than Fallen Valley. King Yu said in a deep voice. "Countless times?" The 4 of them were stunned. Frenzy frowned and said, "Then why do you say that Fallen Valley is the biggest forbidden area in hell?" "The reason why we say that Fallen Valley is the biggest forbidden area is because of the evil force in Fallen Valley. This evil force prevents us from entering and taking a look. Therefore, we didn't know how dangerous Fallen Valley was before. After entering this time, I realized that it's actually not that big of a deal. King Yu said. So that's the case. The four of them were enlightened. For an unknown place, it was natural to list it as the most dangerous place. Qin Feiyang looked at King Yu and asked, "Have you been to the forest of gods and demons?" Of course. The forest of gods and demons is thousands of times bigger than Fallen Valley. Even I would need a year to traverse the entire forest of gods and demons. However, there is a safe route in the forest of gods and demons. Through this route, one can easily pass through the forest of gods and demons and reach the square of gods and demons. In the past, the dragons used this safe route to pass through the forest of gods and demons and reach the square of gods and demons. King Yu explained. I see. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. But once you leave this route, you have to be prepared to die. Because other than this safe route, every other place is filled with danger. I remember when Shweta entered the forest of gods and demons, it took him more than 1,000 years to come out alive. When I walked out, I looked like I was scared out of my wits. It took me a while to recover. From then on, whenever he heard about the forest of gods and demons, his face would be filled with fear. Obviously. Those 1,000 years in the forest of gods and demons left an indelible shadow in his heart. Shweta and the others wanted to go, but seeing Shweta like this, they couldn't help but feel a little guilty and didn't dare to make a decision. King Yu shook his head and smiled. The four of them looked at each other. Qin Feiyang and Frenzy had some understanding of Shweta's character. He was strong and courageous. However, they didn't expect that even such a person would be so afraid of the forest of gods and demons. It seemed that the forest of gods and demons really couldn't be taken lightly. Qin Feiyang, why don't the two of us not take the risk? After all, we have already mastered the power of laws, there's no need to risk our lives for the power of laws. As for Wang Ming and Yang Li, it's such a good opportunity, we can give it a try. Frenzy chuckled and said. The corners of Wang Ming and Yang Li's lips twitched. It sounded nice, but in fact it was for them to explore the path first. The two of you have the power of laws, there's no need for you to take the risk. Because one power of law is enough for you to benefit endlessly. Moreover, you have to use your heart to comprehend each power of law thoroughly. If you have mastered 2 or 3 powers of laws at the same time, you naturally need more time to comprehend them, this will slow down your progress. King Yu said. He knew that the two of them had the power of laws. Because he was in the ancient city of King Yu when Frenzy and the chief pavilion master fought, he heard everyone's conversation. At that time, he was also very shocked. One of them had comprehended the law of light at the paramount god level, and the other had comprehended the law of slaughter at the godlord level. Such abnormal humans, if he hadn't seen it with his own eyes and heard it with his own ears, he wouldn't have believed it even if he was beaten to death. But in the face of Frenzy and King Yu's persuasion, Qin Feiyang didn't answer immediately. He lowered his head and remained silent. Although what the Ghost King said was also true, that one more type of nomological power would require more time to comprehend, it should also be known that one more type of nomological power was equivalent to having one more trump card. Because at the imperishable stage, it was basically a collision of the power of laws. Without the power of laws, even if you were at the perfected imperishable stage, you would only be an ordinary imperishable stage. It was the same principle as martial artists and mortals. If an imperishable stage with the power of laws was a powerful martial artist, then an imperishable stage without the power of laws was a weak mortal. The two were on completely different levels. Moreover, he had a feeling that the power of laws would be the key to defeating Ice Dragon and Small Beast in the future. Chapter 2703. Seems like we can't persuade him. Lunatic shook his head. Looking at Qin Feiyang's expression, he knew what Qin Feiyang was thinking. Qin Feiyang glanced at Lunatic, then turned to Wang Ming and Lunatic, asking, "Do you want to go?" "Of course." Both of them nodded, but they were a little hesitant. Danger and fortune exist side by side. If you can comprehend the power of laws, I can consider giving you a heaven-defying divine weapon. Qin Feiyang said. Really? Both of them looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Qin Feiyang said, "In the hands of a powerful person, the heaven-defying divine weapon can unleash its greatest power." "All right. Let's give it a try." Both of them looked at each other and nodded at Qin Feiyang. "That's right. Danger and fortune exist side by side. There was no free lunch in the world. If one didn't work hard, how could one become stronger? Humans couldn't always stay in the same place. If one didn't improve, one would slowly be eliminated. Survival of the fittest. This was the logic. I'll go into seclusion first. When I break through to the 9 heavens realm, I'll set off for the forest of gods and demons. Both of you should adjust your state during this period of time. But remember, you're not allowed to create trouble in the ancient city. Qin Feiyang instructed. Yes. Both of them bowed and replied. Qin Feiyang said, "Senior King Yu, send Senior Brother Lunatic and me to the 2nd floor." Okay. King Yu nodded and sent both of them to the 2nd floor. Then, he looked at Wang Ming and Lunatic and smiled. "Do as you wish." "Thank you." Wang Ming and Lunatic cupped their fists and thanked him. Then, they turned and walked out of the palace, looking at the ancient city in surprise. They had never thought that one day, they would actually be able to enter the ancient city openly. To be honest, it was considered an honor for humans to enter the ancient city. After all, the ancient city was the capital of the blood demon race. Even dragons didn't dare to step in. The 2nd floor. The white-eyed wolf had been in seclusion all this time. Furthermore, judging from its aura, it was about to break through to the 9th heaven realm. The Beast Emperor's consciousness was also lying on the ground, silently reconstructing his physical body. "Are you satisfied now?" Madman glanced at the white-eyed wolf and the Beast Emperor before turning to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang looked at him suspiciously. "Playing dumb? The divine weapons and divine incantations you got from Fallen Valley should be enough for you to use for the rest of your life." Madman said. "Oh, this." Qin Feiyang smiled in realization, and said, "This is all thanks to Senior Yu King. If it weren't for his generosity, how could we have obtained so much?" "Wrong. I have to thank that old thing." Madman waved his hand. "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyang looked at him suspiciously. "Think about it. If it weren't for that old thing who tried to kill us time and time again, would Yu King feel guilty? It's because Yu King felt guilty that he gave us all the divine incantations and divine weapons as compensation. So, if we don't thank him, who should we thank?" Madman smiled slyly. Qin Feiyang laughed. Hearing what Madman said, it seemed to be the case. "Come, let's sort it out and see how much we got." After Madman finished speaking, he took out the divine weapons and divine incantations from his universe ring. These divine incantations and divine weapons were obtained from Fallen Valley. Madman said that he was keeping them, but in fact, he was possessing them. Even if the ancestral dragons didn't leave, it was impossible for them to take anything from Madman. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang also took out all his gains. Then the two squatted on the ground and sorted it out. After working for almost half a day, the two finally finished. In front of them, there were a total of 4 piles. One of the piles was 6 iron boxes, all of which had the aura of a seal. That's right. These were the 6 divine incantations. They got one in the Blood Lake, Yu King gave them one, and then they got another one in Fallen Valley. Later, when they searched Fallen Valley, they found 2 more divine incantations and 1 divine incantation. In other words, including the Blood Demon Tower, they got a total of 7 divine incantations. If only the young man gave us the divine incantation that he took. Madman shook his head. This way, they would get a total of 8 divine incantations. But unfortunately, it was only a dream. If the young man didn't take the initiative to give it to them, they wouldn't dare to snatch it. After all, the young man was an existence that suppressed the ancestral dragons with his own strength. But overall, the opening of hell this time was more than the previous few times. Because the previous few times, the dragons only got the sunset divine bow and other divine weapons, as well as the divine incantation of the dragon's prince. And the remaining 3 piles. One pile was supreme divine weapons and divine incantations. One pile was legendary divine weapons and divine incantations. The other pile was pinnacle divine weapons and divine incantations. As for perfect divine incantations and supreme divine weapons, there were only a dozen of them. Supreme divine weapons and divine incantations, a total of 3,600. Legendary divine weapons and divine incantations, a total of 18,000, pinnacle divine weapons and divine incantations, a total of 22,000, not counting the perfect divine incantations and supreme divine weapons. 3,600, plus 18,000, plus 22,000, in other words, this time in Fallen Valley, we got a total of 43,600 divine incantations. Madman laughed. Amazing. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but be shocked when he heard this number. Take the supreme divine weapons and divine incantations for example, even in the Dragon God Palace, one would need to have incredible luck to get them from the Divine Weapon Pavilion and Divine Incantation Treasury. And now, they had a total of 3,600 divine incantations in their hands. It was simply getting rich overnight. If this were to spread when they returned to the Divine Land, wouldn't everyone go crazy? I don't want these divine incantations, but we'll split the rest. You don't have any objections, right? Madman looked at Qin Feiyang and said. Of course not. Qin Feiyang smiled. If he still had any objections, then he wasn't worthy of being a human. Okay, you keep it for now. When we return to the Divine Land, you can give it to me. Madman said. Qin Feiyang nodded, waved his hand, and put away all the divine incantations. Next, the two took out their soul stones and began to cultivate. To break through to the greater success 9th heaven realm, they needed to refine 400 billion soul stones. With their current speed of refining soul stones, it would take at least 290,000 years to refine 400 billion soul stones. Fortunately, there was a time array here. 1 day was 500 years, 10 days was 5,000 years, 100 days was 50,000 years, 600 days was 300,000 years. In other words, the two of them only needed more than a year to break through to the greater success 9th heaven realm. Madman suddenly opened his eyes and looked at Qin Feiyang. Tell me, how can we upgrade the supreme divine incantations to the level of divine incantations? Qin Feiyang was taken aback, shook his head and said, I don't know. In fact, he had also thought about this problem. Because now, almost all of his divine incantations had been upgraded to the supreme divine incantations. He was only one step away from the divine incantations. But it was this one step that he couldn't cross. If we want to become stronger, then we must upgrade these divine incantations to the level of divine incantations. Madman said. N. Qin Feiyang nodded, pondered for a while, and asked, do you think this divine incantation is the same as the divine incantations, related to the power of law? Related to the power of law? Madman was stunned. We all know about the supreme divine incantations. As long as you give it the power of law, it can be upgraded to a divine incantation. Then does this supreme divine incantation also have to be given the power of law? Qin Feiyang said. This question, Madman pondered for a while and shook his head. It's hard to say, we have to ask an old senior. Old senior, Qin Feiyang murmured and suddenly glanced at the Beast Emperor beside him. Madman also looked at the Beast Emperor. The Beast Emperor was at the Great Success Imperishable Realm, so he should know about this. Cough cough. Madman coughed and chuckled. Senior Beast Emperor. Senior. The Beast Emperor opened his eyes and looked suspiciously at Madman. Did this kid have a fever? He actually called him senior for the first time. After being together for so long, this was the first time he saw this little madman be so polite to him. Does the upgrade of a supreme divine incantation to a divine incantation have anything to do with the power of law? Madman said. So you have something to ask. The Beast Emperor suddenly understood. No wonder he was so polite, he thought he had changed. The upgrade of a supreme divine incantation to a divine incantation has to do with the power of law. The Beast Emperor pondered for a moment and said. Tell me quickly. Madman urged. Actually, it's similar to a divine incantation. By integrating the profound of the power of law into the divine incantation, the supreme divine incantation can naturally evolve into a divine incantation. Take Young Master's slaughter domain as an example. According to my personal speculation, it should be integrated with the profound of the law of slaughter. The Beast Emperor said. The profound of the law of slaughter? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Of course. To reach the slaughter domain level, one must have the profound of the law of slaughter. Madman, although your law of slaughter has reached the initial stage, compared to the profound of the law of slaughter, it's still thousands of miles away. The Beast Emperor said. Profound of the law of slaughter, Madman muttered. That sounded like something very impressive. Madman turned his head to look at Qin Feiyang and frowned. Where did you get this slaughter formula from? It's so heaven-defying. It's innate, don't be envious. Qin Feiyang smiled. Nonsense. Madman pouted. Look, I'm telling you the truth, and you still don't believe me. I'm really not talking nonsense. I heard from my parents that this ancient castle came with me. And the slaughter formula is inside this ancient castle. If this isn't innate, then what is it? Qin Feiyang said. It can't be. Madman frowned. A heaven-defying divine incantation and a divine incantation came with each other. Wasn't this too unfathomable? If that was true, then wouldn't it mean that Qin Feiyang was different from everyone else since birth? The Beast Emperor took a deep look at Qin Feiyang and said, this emperor has heard of such a situation. Huh? When Madman and Qin Feiyang heard this, they couldn't help but look at the Beast Emperor. The Beast Emperor looked at the two of them and said with a faint smile, of course, this is just a legend. You guys can just listen to it and don't take it seriously. Chapter 2704. It's fine. Go ahead. The madman said. Usually, such a situation would be the reincarnation of a peerless figure. The Beast Emperor said. Reincarnated? Qin Feiyang and the madman looked at each other. That's right. It's said that some great figures will enter the cycle of reincarnation after they die. It's also known as reincarnation. And after reincarnation, the most important and closest companions of the previous life, for example, divine weapons and techniques. Or even mounts, loved ones, they'll find the reincarnated body in another way and silently guard it. They'll directly awaken the reincarnated body and recover the memories of their previous life. The Beast Emperor said. There's such a thing. I thought that reincarnation was just a legend. The madman muttered. The Beast Emperor said, I've said it earlier. It's just a legend. Don't listen to it. But hearing you say that, I don't think it's a legend. It's more like it's real. The madman turned to look at Qin Feiyang. Otherwise, how could he deal with the ancient castle and the kill formula that came with it? Is it real? The Beast Emperor could not help but look at Qin Feiyang. His heart was shaken. This was because Qin Feiyang's situation was too similar to the legends. The madman suddenly seemed to have thought of something and said firmly, "I'm sure this guy is the reincarnation of a mighty figure." Qin Feiyang and the Beast Emperor looked at him suspiciously. "Do you want to know why?" the madman asked. "Nonsense." Qin Feiyang glared at him. "It's because you have more than just the ancient castle and the kill formula. There's something even more incredible. That's your battle soul. The 9-leaf fire lotus and the crimson sword soul. These two battle souls are usually reserved, but when they unleash their might, they're heaven-defying. Moreover, I wonder if you've noticed. Every time the dragon god sees your two battle souls, his expression is slightly different. It seems like they used to know each other. And do you remember? Last time, when the dragon god brought the dragon princess here, the dragon god inexplicably said a few words. At that time, you must have suspected that the dragon god was communicating with the two war souls. Madman said. Qin Feiyang scratched his head and said, "Now that you mention it, it does seem a little unusual." "What do you mean by seems?" "It's unusual to begin with." The madman rolled his eyes and chuckled. "Peerless powerhouse, please take care of me in the future." Scram. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and said, "Actually, I'm also suspecting you." "Are you doubting me?" Madman was stunned and asked suspiciously, "What do I have to suspect?" "Of course you're worthy of suspicion. You want to, you can absorb the power of evil, enter the evil moon, and touch the mysterious blood bead in the evil moon, and the most outrageous thing is that you can actually hope for the special power of evil in Fallen Valley. There's something even more unbelievable. The Blood Demon Tower actually abandoned King Yu's father and ran with you. You have to know that he's the master of the Blood Demon Tower. Tell me, is this normal?" Qin Feiyang said. "Ah." Madman was stunned. Hearing Qin Feiyang's words, it did seem a little abnormal. "Yes. You're indeed worthy of suspicion." Hearing this, the Beast Emperor also looked at Madman in surprise. "Suspect what?" "Suspect that I'm also the reincarnation of a peerless powerhouse. Your imagination is really rich." Madman was helpless. "If I'm really the reincarnation of a powerhouse, then you must be one too. And your previous life must be related to the blood demon race. Otherwise, how do you explain all this?" Qin Feiyang said. "You're talking about wind and rain." Madman was speechless. The Beast Emperor sized up the two of them and shook his head. "Not simple, not simple. Both of you are not simple." Looking at the serious look on the Beast Emperor's face, Qin Feiyang and Madman couldn't help but find it funny. Who was the one who said that they shouldn't take it seriously? Now, he was the one who took it seriously. Reincarnation? How could such an illusory thing really exist? It was fine to coax children. Let's cultivate. With that, Qin Feiyang closed his eyes. "Don't worry. If I'm really the reincarnation of a powerhouse, I'll definitely protect you in the future." Madman grinned at the Beast Emperor and closed his eyes as well. The Beast Emperor smiled bitterly. Why did it sound so unreliable? However, were these two guys really the reincarnation of a powerhouse? Reincarnation, does it exist or not? Next, the ancient city of King Yu was peaceful. The ancestral dragon and the chief pavilion master were killed. The other ancestral dragons fled and Yi Zhong also left. The Beast Emperor, Wang Ming and Yang Li all submitted to Qin Feiyang. In other words, all the giants of the divine land were almost annihilated. Apart from these people, no one else dared to cause trouble in the ancient city of King Yu. Therefore, the ancient city of King Yu was as peaceful as it was before hell opened. However, it was different outside. The Blood Demon clan in the various ancient cities and the beasts in hell were still chasing after humans. Killings, battles, and deaths were happening all the time. In the blink of an eye, more than a year had passed. Bang! On this day, the white-eyed wolf broke through to the ninth heaven realm. The Beast Emperor had also reconstructed his body. After all, there was a time array that lasted 500 years. Even if the Beast Emperor had a divine art, it wouldn't take long. The Beast Emperor who had reconstructed his body had undoubtedly recovered to his peak state. If there weren't any rules restricting him, then with his cultivation base, he would be able to sweep through the Hell King. No. If there were no restrictions, it wouldn't be that easy to sweep through hell. After all, the Blood Demon Elder had returned. He was a terrifying existence at the perfected indestructible realm. Another period of time passed. Madman had also successfully entered the ninth heaven realm. When Madman broke through, he realized that Qin Feiyang was also about to break through. This was because they had broken through to the ninth heaven realm one after the other. As expected. After a period of time, Qin Feiyang also broke through to the ninth heaven realm as he wished. This feeling of cultivation skyrocketing is really great. Qin Feiyang opened his eyes and his face was filled with joy. Then let's not go to the divine demon forest. Let's just cultivate in seclusion. Madman said. He really didn't want to take the risk. Qin Feiyang instantly rolled his eyes at him and said in disdain, cowering, "Is this still the madman I know? If you don't work hard, I think you'll never catch up to Ancestor in this lifetime." Kidding. If I get serious, I can instantly kill Qin Batian. Madman instantly frowned. Instantly kill Qin Batian? That's difficult. Do you know? There are strong and weak law powers. The strongest law powers are the law of time and the law of space and time. Qin Batian has the ability to travel through space, that's the law of space and time. To be honest, your law of slaughter really can't compare to his. Beast Emperor said. So what if it's the law of space and time? Just wait and see, I'll go to the divine demon forest and comprehend the law of space and time. Let's go now. Madman suddenly stood up and shouted. Qin Feiyang laughed and shook his head. Don't worry, I've also thought a lot during my seclusion. What are you thinking about? Madman paused and looked at him suspiciously. Beast Emperor also looked at Qin Feiyang. Our strength shouldn't be enough to deal with the dragons. After all, the dragons themselves have the 10 ancestral dragons, the patriarchs, and various elders, they're all at the imperishable realm. Apart from them, there are also humans who entered the divine dragon island from the dragon god palace. These humans are also at the imperishable realm. And we don't know how many there are. So, we have to strengthen our own strength. Qin Feiyang said. Old thing, you should know how many imperishable realm experts there are on the divine dragon island, right? Madman turned to look at Beast Emperor and said. Old thing. Beast Emperor's face darkened. If there's something to ask, he's a senior. If there's nothing to ask, he's an old thing. Why is he so realistic? I don't know the exact number, but according to my estimation, there's at least this number. Beast Emperor stretched out a thumb. 10. Madman frowned. 10. What are you thinking about? The 10 ancestral dragons are already 10, okay? Beast Emperor rolled his eyes. Madman smiled embarrassedly and said, 100. 100? Then you have to look down on the dragons. Beast Emperor said. Madman frowned and said, 1,000. Yes. Beast Emperor nodded. Damn. Madman was dumbfounded. This was too terrifying. Qin Feiyang said, this 1,000 should only be at the half-step imperishable realm, right? How do you know? Beast Emperor was surprised. Feng Daji said so. Hui and I asked him before, and he said that there are at least 1,000 half-step imperishable realm experts on the divine dragon island. Qin Feiyang said. That's right. If we add the initial, small, and large, there's no doubt that there are even more. For example, many of the elders of the various clans are at the initial stage imperishable realm. And the patriarchs of the various clans are all at the small stage imperishable realm. Beast Emperor said. Damn it. Isn't this too outrageous? It seems that our strength is far inferior to theirs. Madman said. So, we have to take this opportunity to strengthen our strength. Qin Feiyang said. How? Madman was suspicious. Among the people who entered the Nether King's Hell this time, there are some hidden supreme experts. These supreme experts don't belong to the dragons, nor do they belong to the Dragon Slayer Palace. We can take this opportunity to recruit all of them. Qin Feiyang said. I don't think there are many. That's because I know almost all of the reclusive supreme experts. There are no more than 100 of them in the entire divine land. And they are all smart people. The dragons suddenly opened the Nether King's Hell. They must be plotting something. So I guess that only a few people will enter the Nether King's Hell. Furthermore, he will definitely change his appearance and keep a low profile after entering the Hell of the Underworld. It will be difficult to find them. Beast Emperor shook his head. Chapter 2705. We'll recruit as many as we can. As for finding them, actually, it's not difficult. Qin Feiyang shook his head. The Beast Emperor looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. How could such a difficult thing not be difficult in Qin Feiyang's eyes? Let me ask you, why would experts at their level enter the Nether King's Hell? Qin Feiyang said. Of course, it's because of the inheritance of the heaven-defying divine objects and the power of laws. The Beast Emperor said without hesitation. Yes. Only the heaven-defying divine objects and the power of laws can arouse the interest of the supreme experts of the eternal realm. Then why don't we use this to make them come to us? Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Come to us. The Beast Emperor was slightly stunned and said, You mean, use the heaven-defying divine objects to lure them? That's right. Qin Feiyang nodded. Okay. I'm confused. You didn't even think of such a simple reason. The Beast Emperor shook his head. You're not confused. You're stupid. Otherwise, how could you fall into our hands? The white-eyed wolf suddenly opened his eyes and looked at him with disdain. The Beast Emperor's mouth twitched. Each of them was really sharp-tongued. They had already become a family. Couldn't they save him some face? What's with that look? Although you're in the imperishable stage, you still have to call me Big Brother here. The white-eyed wolf said. Brother? The Beast Emperor was speechless. Why don't you look at yourself in the mirror? You don't agree? The white-eyed wolf glared and shouted, Little Qin Zi, little lunatic, go and bite him. Looking for a beating? Qin Feiyang and the Beast Emperor glared at him. It's just a joke. Don't take it seriously. Seeing that the situation was not good, the white-eyed wolf immediately smiled apologetically. What a piece of work. The Beast Emperor shook his head. Qin Feiyang glared at the white-eyed wolf and said, Senior Yu King, can you come in for a moment? Whoosh! A short while later. The Ghost King appeared in front of everyone. He swept his eyes over the auras of Qin Feiyang, the lunatic, and the white-eyed wolf, and said with a smile, You've all broken through. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded with a smile and said, There's something I need your help with, and only you can help me. Speak. Yuang said with a smile. I want you to spread the news that there are a large number of heaven-defying divine artifacts in the Devil-Demon Forest, as well as the inheritance of the power of laws. Qin Feiyang said. The Yu King was taken aback, and he asked suspiciously, Why is that? Qin Feiyang briefly explained the plan. I see. All right. This king will have Shweta and the others make the arrangements. Yu Wang said. I'll have to trouble you then. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and smiled. It's just a small matter. The Yu King waved his hands. Qin Feiyang said, how's the progress of the blood collection? About this king doesn't know yet. After all, you know that we can't send messages to the Hell King. We can only know when the people we sent out come back. Are you in a hurry? The Yu King asked. I'm not in a hurry. How about this? When the blood is collected, get someone to send it to the Godfiend Square and leave it to me. Qin Feiyang said. The Yu King was stunned and said, in that case, you're planning to leave? There was a trace of reluctance in his expression. Although he had not known Qin Feiyang for long, he really treated Qin Feiyang as a friend. It will take some time to spread the news. Therefore, I won't leave for the time being. I'm planning to stay here and study the deity techniques. I'll also take a stroll around the ancient city. I've been here for so long. I've either been dealing with matters outside or cultivating in seclusion. I've never taken a good look around the ancient city. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. That's great. This king will personally accompany you to walk around. The Yu King smiled from the bottom of his heart. All right. Qin Feiyang nodded. After the Yu King left, Qin Feiyang sat cross-legged on the ground and continued to comprehend the Guiyuan swordsmanship, ruins of end, eclipse of sun and moon. Because these three deity techniques were only at the legendary level. Now that he had time, he might as well upgrade them to the supreme level. Then there was the rising dragon tactic and concealment tactic. These two deity techniques still had a lot of room for improvement. Qin Feiyang, you can't just build a cart behind closed doors. Why don't we have a spar? Frenzy suddenly looked at Qin Feiyang sneakily and said. Huh? Qin Feiyang was stunned. He opened his eyes and looked at Frenzy with a smile. Sure, I was just worried that I wouldn't have a sparring partner. Fighting was the fastest way to upgrade a deity technique. Back then, these deity techniques like the Dragon God technique were upgraded from his battle with the Fire Lotus. Then let's do it. Frenzy looked at Qin Feiyang provocatively. All right. Qin Feiyang immediately stood up and went all out. Guiyuan swordsmanship, ruins of end, eclipse of sun and moon were all unleashed. A terrifying divine aura suddenly spread out in all directions. The ancient city of the Yu King was a supreme-level artifact and was very resistant, so there was no need to worry about it being destroyed by the shockwaves of the battle. Wait a minute, let's say in advance that you can't activate your battle soul. Frenzy shouted. Aren't you talking nonsense? Is there a need to activate your battle soul to spar? Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. Little guy, you've been fooled. Frenzy suddenly laughed sinisterly and directly activated the blood demon domain. Qin Feiyang's cultivation immediately began to plummet. Lower 9th Heaven Realm, Initial 9th Heaven Realm, Half-Step 9th Heaven Realm, Perfected Paragon God, that's right. His cultivation plummeted straight to Perfected Paragon God. Huh, see how I'm going to beat you up? Frenzy laughed and pounced forward like lightning, sending Qin Feiyang flying with a slap. Bastard! Didn't you say that I can't activate my battle soul? Qin Feiyang roared angrily. Is the blood demon domain a battle soul? This is a divine art, okay? Frenzy said proudly. Ah! Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. The blood demon domain was a divine art, not a battle soul. Therefore, Frenzy didn't break the rules by activating the blood demon domain. Had he been tricked? Little Frenzy, quickly beat him up, I've long found him an eyesore, don't be polite with me. White-Eyed Wolf also wanted to see the world in chaos and howled continuously. I promise I won't disappoint you. Frenzy smiled at White-Eyed Wolf and kicked him again. Puff! Qin Feiyang immediately spurted out a mouthful of blood and his entire body smashed into the wall behind him like a meteorite. Yes, yes, yes. That's it. Beat him to death. White-eyed Wolf jumped up and down excitedly. Beat him to death. Beast Emperor's face twitched when he heard this. Those who didn't know would think that there was a blood feud between them. What kind of people were they? When they were on good terms, they were closer than blood brothers and were even willing to die for each other. When they were bad, they were worse than anyone else. Was he really old, or were these young people too avant-garde? He didn't understand. White-eyed Wolf, if you dare to yell again, I'll beat you up. Qin Feiyang said angrily. He had unknowingly been tricked by frenzy. Beat me up. I'll beat you up first. The white-eyed wolf bared its fangs. Then, it turned into a streamer of light, and kicked Qin Feiyang's body. Puff! Qin Feiyang spurted out another mouthful of blood and flew to the opposite side. A perfected paragon god dares to be arrogant? Aren't you looking for a beating? Ha! Frenzy laughed and rushed to the other party, kicking him too. Qin Feiyang turned in the air and flew toward White-eyed Wolf. The next scene was interesting. Qin Feiyang was like a rubber ball, being kicked around by frenzy and White-eyed Wolf. I don't understand, I don't understand. Beast Emperor shook his head and sighed. He turned and walked to the side, leaning against the wall and watching this scene speechlessly. The first level. Hearing the commotion, King Yu waved his hand and the scene of the second level appeared. When he saw what happened on the second level, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This group of people was indeed a little unpredictable. Immediately, King Yu dispersed the scene and walked out of the hall, shouting, 10 commanders, come here quickly. Whoosh! Not long later, Shweta and the others flew through the air and landed on the square in front of the hall. Go and make the arrangements immediately. Say that the forest of gods and devils has the inheritance of heaven-defying artifacts and the power of laws. You must spread it to the entire hell in the shortest time possible. King Yu instructed. What are you doing? Shweta was suspicious. This is Brother Qin's plan. Just do as he says. King Yu said. All right. The 10 of them nodded and left at lightning speed. You're really something. You do whatever Qin Feiyang asks you to do. If others see you, they will think that you're his lackey. You're really making the blood demons proud. The blood-red-clothed old man walked out from the side and snorted coldly at King Yu. Lord Father, you're overthinking things. Friends should help each other. Isn't that right? King Yu smiled bitterly. You treat him as a friend, but he might not treat you as a friend. The blood-red-clothed old man said. You're prejudiced against him. King Yu was displeased. I think you've been bewitched by him. The blood-red-clothed old man snorted. King Yu frowned and walked to the front of the blood-red-clothed old man. Lord Father, tell me honestly. Why are you so insistent on possessing frenzy? And the Blood Demon Tower, ever since you obtained the Blood Demon Tower, it has never disobeyed your wishes. But this time, why did he choose to abandon you and leave with frenzy? King Yu was puzzled. Hearing this, the blood-red-clothed old man fell silent. Father, although we've been separated for a long time, I'm still your son, and you're still my father. Shouldn't father and son be honest with each other? King Yu sighed. Phew. The blood-red-clothed old man took a deep breath and looked at King Yu. Do you really want to know? Yes. King Yu nodded. The blood-red-clothed old man said, then come closer. King Yu did as he was told and moved closer to the blood-red-clothed old man. The blood-red-clothed old man muttered a few words in King Yu's ear. What? King Yu exclaimed, his face full of shock. Now you know why I want to possess him. The blood-red-clothed old man said. Yes. King Yu nodded and turned to look at the second floor, his eyes filled with disbelief. But then, he looked at the blood-red clothed old man and said, "If what you said is true, then all the more you can't do this. What do you know? Only by possessing him can I truly control the Blood Demon Tower. The most important thing is still the source of evil. In this world, only he can control the source of evil. And the source of evil can only be heard by him. As long as I control the Blood Demon Tower and the source of evil, then in the future, I'll definitely be able to defeat the Dragon God and replace the Dragon God to become the new ruler of Hell." The blood-red clothed old man said in a deep voice.